Pokémon, trainer of divine pets. Welcome back, brave explorers of impossible worlds. We are excited to have you here to continue this odyssey together. Before we continue, everything you'll hear is pure fiction, so please don't try to replicate combat techniques at home. This wonderful story in all its rights belong to its brilliant original author. We are only the messengers of entertainment. Want another dose of adventure? Subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a single chapter, and if you can't wait, our Patreon has exclusive surprises you'll love. Chapter 26, The Method to Save May, and the Past of the Violent Earth Dragon. The second stage of the Grand Contest ended quickly thanks to Xihen's strong performance. The Grand Contest was too boring, let's skip it. Xihen naturally won easily, a victory far superior to other trainers. Continuing their journey, they again used Umbreon to lead the way, another excellent training method. Xihen was actually quite distracted on the road. He hadn't been able to calm down since May left. Now, having a way to save May helped him regain some composure. After calming down, Xihen realized this wasn't his original world. The dead couldn't be saved here. Even though May was gone, there were many ways to save her. Using Celebi to go back a year could save May in time. The legendary Pokémon Pachiriuaya of the Sinnoh region has the ability to travel through time and could also go back to the past to save May. Using Jirachi to make a wish could bring May back. If all else failed, they could find Darkrai and live forever in a dream with May. Therefore, Xihen, who originally aimed to train someone capable of defeating legendary Pokémon, now focuses on capturing time-traveling Pokémon. Umbreon, you have to work hard. If you can help me catch Celebi, May can come back. Xihen bent down and patted Umbreon's head. Black, Umbreon squinted and licked Xihen's cheek. Xihen smiled. Umbreon hadn't seen Xihen smile in a long time. Xihen's next target is Canal City, home to the Canal Gym and, of course, the Pokémon contest. However, this is no longer relevant to Xihen. Canal City is a tourist attraction in the Sinnoh region, bisected by a waterway. The air is filled with exoticism and foreign cultures. Many huge ships are moored at the docks. Formerly, this was a cargo transshipment center. Canal City is composed of a series of islands connected by bridges. Transportation is mainly by boat. The city has many dead ends, making it difficult to find routes to neighboring islands. There are also boat stops for tripods to Lilliput, Full Moon Island, and Iron Island. The Forest Mansion is also located here. Along the way, Xihen will first pass through a place called Godin Town. Speaking of Godin Town, it's worth mentioning that it's Cynthia's hometown, and her grandmother, Professor Mustard, is the curator of the Godin Town Historical Research Institute. Of course, this isn't a journey that can be completed in a day, and they'll inevitably have to camp out again. Xihen goes to bed late but wakes up early, so her Pokémon train whenever she stops to rest. Tyranitar battles Infernape, Ninetales battles Umbreon, Spellweaver battles Lucario, and as for Garchomp, only Salamence can rival it. Their special training is simply battling. Only through battle can they continuously improve, and only by accumulating experience in battle can they learn what to do and what not to do in combat. Xihen trained until the very last moment before resting, then recalled the Pokémon to their Pokéballs, except for Garchomp. Garchomp was always like this. When they're camped out, it would train at night, and Xihen didn't interfere, knowing it would return the next morning before leaving. After Garchomp left, Xihen went to sleep. Garchomp walked to a river, jumped into the water, and began punching and kicking underwater, a rough but effective training method. The water pressure made its punches and kicks heavier, and once it got used to it, its underwater punching speed would be as fast as on land. When there was no river, Garchomp would punch trees to build strength. Therefore, Garchomp's strength wasn't innate, it was earned through hard work. Xihen didn't know that this Garchomp had actually been abandoned. When it was still a Garchomp, its trainer abandoned it because they didn't want to put in the effort to train another Garchomp. Indeed, Garchomp is rare, and a powerful Garchomp is even rarer. His trainer couldn't afford the financial and physical cost of raising him, so he gave up on Garchomp, hoping he could find a better trainer. Garchomp, feeling abandoned, was filled with anger and sadness, and immediately evolved. On the very shore where Xihen met him, he trained underwater every day, hitting rocks and corals. That day, a Pongosaurus and an Ammonite appeared out of nowhere. He was too exhausted to climb ashore to rest, so they dragged Garchomp into the sea and beat him. Garchomp always trained until he was completely exhausted before coming ashore, But he never expected this. Even though he was weak, he still managed to defeat several Ammonite. The exhausted Garchomp was beaten to pulp and thrown ashore. If Xihen hadn't found him, he probably would have died there. Everyone, those who remember the story will surely remember what happened in Canal City, right? When Xihen arrived in Canal City, it was his first encounter with a legendary Pokémon. Fin. Chapter 27 Scorpion King and Baby Fang Dragon, Xihen's Pokémon. The next morning, when Xihen woke up, Garchomp was already outside his tent. To avoid disturbing his sleep, Garchomp didn't attack the tree trunks. He woke up just before sunrise, packed up the tent, took out his Pokémon, ate, and continued on his journey to get to Badge as soon as possible before heading to Celebi. Umbreon, you lead the way today, Xihen said to Umbreon after recalling his other 7 Pokémon. Blakely wondered how many Pokémon in the forest were still asleep. They're all so lazy. Don't they know getting up early is good for their health? I can't even find opponents to level up against, Xihen roared at the forest. As if angered, a Glisker charged towards Xihen. Oh? Alright, you're the first one I'll take in today. Umbreon, Dark Pulse, Glisker was too fast and couldn't stop in time, crashing directly into it. However, it didn't seem to be seriously injured. It fired a Shadow Ball at Umbreon. Umbreon, jump. Give it a Shadow Ball back. The Shadow Ball was launched, but as mentioned before, Glisker was fast enough to dodge it. Not bad speed, Umbreon, jump. Umbreon jumped up, which pleased Glisker. The air was its territory, so Umbreon couldn't dodge. It charged forward with a tackle. Now is the time. Umbreon, spin in the air and use Steel Tail. Black Umbreon spun in the air to dodge Glisker's tackle, and a Steel Tail slammed into Glisker's head, causing it to fall. Umbreon landed steadily on the ground. You only have the greatest power when you're with your trainer. You'd better come in obediently. Xihen threw a Pokeball, hitting Glisker's head. The Pokeball waddled a few times and then stopped. Beautiful. Umbreon retrieved the Pokeball for Xihen, who then took out Glisker, gave it a quick heal, and put it back. Umbreon, you weren't hurt, keep going. Black using Umbreon to clear the way these past few days had significantly boosted its level. If that Glisker was level 45, Umbreon was now level 50. With Xihen directing, the two of them together were practically level 70, making defeating Glisker a breeze. After half a day of clearing the way, Umbreon finally got tired. It was lunchtime, so they switched to Infernape to lead the way. They hadn't encountered any Pokémon they liked along the way. Would switching to Infernape help them find something they liked? They needed a water-type Pokémon. Infernape was firefighting, Umbreon was dark, Garchomp was dragon ground, Lucario was fighting steel, Salamence was dragon flying, Glisker was ground flying, Snivy was grass, and Ninetales was fire. Did I forget someone? Oh, and there's Pidgeot, flying type, and Black Thunder, bug and steel type, Tyranitar, ground and dark type. Why are there so many? Should I send some back? Looks like I've brought too many. I can't train them all. Aside from the little guys like the Goodle that the professor sent back at the beginning, it's been a long time since I sent any Pokémon back. I hope Professor Yamanashi doesn't look down on me. Before we reach Godwood, try your best to catch some good Pokémon. It's up to you, Infernape. Xihen patted Infernape on the shoulder. This kid is the same height as him. Infernape answered firmly. Right now, its strength is probably above Tyranitar, Umbreon, Glisker, Ninetales, and Sylveon. As for Garchomp, the strongest Pokémon Xihen has, it's best not to think about surpassing it for now. Here you go. Oh, hearing the little Pokémon's voice. Xihen turned around and saw a baby Pokémon rummaging through his backpack. But that wasn't important, what mattered was that this baby Pokémon was red. Xihen grinned mischievously and walked over. Little guy, are you hungry? Here you go, here you go. The baby Pokémon, realizing it had been discovered, quickly dropped its backpack and hid behind a tree. You think you can just run away after eating my food? Xihen saw the Pokémon food scattered on the ground and looked at Infernape. Infernape understood and pulled the baby Pokémon out from behind the tree. Here you go, here you go. It tried to break free, but it was no match for Infernape. Are you going to come in obediently and I'll feed you, or are you going to get beaten up and left to starve in your Pokéball for days? Xihen stared at the little baby Pokémon with a dark expression. The baby Pokémon stopped struggling and stared blankly at Xihen. Xihen and the baby Pokémon locked eyes, and everything around them fell silent. A few Murkrows flew by. Idiot, 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 please vote for me, everyone. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 28 Cresselia, the Goddess of Dreams, Darkrai, the Goddess of Nightmares. Are you going to come in obediently and I'll feed you, or are you going to get beaten up and left to starve in your Pokeball for days? Xihen stared at the little Basquirrel with a dark face. The little Basquirrel stopped struggling and stared blankly at Xihen. Xihen and the little Basquirrel locked eyes, and the surroundings fell silent as a few more crows flew by. Idiot, 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 here, wah. Cold sweat dripped down the little Basquirrel's head. It silently reached out and pressed the Pokeball, going in without even struggling. This little guy has no backbone at all. Infernape, let's go. We're almost at Godwood Town. I've brought too much with me, I can't manage it all by myself. Here, Infernape shook its head immediately. Don't worry, I won't send you back. Let's go. Xihen knew it was afraid he would send it back. This trip had lasted 2 months, and it was, after all, his new Pokémon. It was better to bring it along. Infernape, delighted that Xihen wouldn't send him back, squinted its eyes and followed behind him. They arrived in Ancient Town late at night. Xihen went to the Pokémon Center and brought back his Black Thunder, Salamence, Umbreon, Tyranitar, Lucario, and Valor. Snivy and Ninetales belonged to May, and Xihen couldn't bear to send them back. Glisker and Garchomp were newly acquired and needed training, but since he'd promised Infernape he wouldn't send them back, he kept them too. As for Garchomp, perhaps Xihen could provide some security with it. Xihen, how can you carry so many Pokémon with you? Professor Yamanashi finally asked. I don't know either. Anyway, that's all for now. I've arrived in Godwood Town. There are no gyms here, and it's getting late, so I won't disturb your rest any longer, Xihen said, about to hang up. Hey, wait a minute, Professor Yamanashi called after him. Is there anything else, Professor? This is a GS ball. I got it from Professor Yu. I heard you're looking for a Pokémon, and it's in here, Professor Yamanashi said, handing over the GS ball. Xihen picked up the GS ball in a daze. Could it be Celebi inside? Professor, what's this? Xihen had no choice but to ask Professor Yamanashi. Yes, it's Celebi, but it's currently asleep. As for when it will wake up, that depends on your luck. Xihen excitedly gripped the GS ball, his hands trembling. With Celebi, May could finally see May. Professor Yamanashi had heard about May from Ash. He ultimately decided to help Xihen. After all, Xihen had been depressed for a long time after his parents passed away and had even fallen seriously ill. Professor Yamanashi had watched Xihen grow up and didn't want him to feel helpless again, otherwise, the child would be too pitiful. Actually, Professor Yamanashi didn't know that this Xihen was not the same Xihen as before. The previous Xihen had died silently at home due to a serious illness, possessed by Arlong. Thank you, Professor Yamanashi, thank you so much. Xihen bowed deeply to Professor Yamanashi on the screen. Although he didn't know if Celebi would wake up, at least there was hope instead of no hope. Okay, that's all then. Get some rest, Professor Yamanashi said and hung up the phone. Xihen returned to his room at the Pokémon Center with a look of excitement, since there were no hotels there. Lying on the bed, Xihen held the GS ball in front of his eyes, staring at it and thinking about some things. He couldn't completely rely on this little guy. Celebi was asleep, and he didn't know how long it would last. Maybe it would be a few years, maybe decades or even 100 years. Who knew? He wiped the GS ball and then fell asleep. In his dream, Xihen walked along a dark path that seemed endless. He wandered aimlessly forward for an unknown amount of time before spotting a small point of light. He sped towards it, but just as he was about to step out, a force pulled him back from behind, and then another force pulled him towards the light. Xihen was half in the light and half in the darkness, the two forces pulling him back and forth until he felt himself being torn in two. Only then did he see where these forces came from, the Pokémon in the light, with a light blue body, yellow underside, and two tufts of purplish-red fur extending from its chest in an arc. Its head had crescent-shaped yellow decorations on either side. Xihen recognized it was Cresselia, the dream goddess. Cresselia had glowing pink ring-shaped wings on its sides and back, with claw-like tips resting on its chest. Cressilia's wings emitted glowing particles that rippled gently around the crescent-shaped wings. Cressilia possesses the ability to dispel nightmares, and its feathers have the power to bring pleasant dreams. Cressilia and its counterpart, Darkrai, are rivals. Cressilia is the only known Pokémon capable of learning the move Crescent Dance. And the one pulling at twilight in the darkness is Darkrai, the arch-enemy of the Dream God. Darkrai is a black, shadowy Pokémon. Its small head is adorned with a white, misty, hair-like decoration, concealing only a pair of bright blue eyes. A red, serrated structure, resembling a collar, surrounds its neck. Long, tattered black cloth-like structures hang from each of its shoulders. It possesses black, claw-like hands. Its shape somewhat resembles an hourglass draped in a tattered cloak. Normally, it floats without legs, but it can also extend leg-like structures from where its legs should be. In self-defense, Darkrai can tuck its head and white feathers into the upper part of its torso, which is surrounded by the aforementioned serrated structure. Darkrai can cause endless nightmares unless the person possesses the crescent wing. Actually, inducing nightmares is merely a defensive mechanism, not an intentional act of malice. Xihen was being pulled painfully by these two forces. Was this a dream? Chapter 29, Champion Cynthia, Garchomp vs. Garchomp. Ugh, Xihen sat up abruptly in bed, still feeling some pain all over. Ugh, what happened? Xihen rubbed his arms. Why did he dream about those two? Xihen patted his head and got up. He checked the time, it was only 4 o'clock. Xihen picked up the GS ball from the bedside table, smiled foolishly at it, and prepared to get up. He spent about 10 minutes washing up and then left the Pokémon Center. The air was still fresh in the early morning, and the sun showed no sign of rising. Xihen sat by the river, not thinking about leaving God in town for the time being. Dreamer. Nightmare. Xihen suddenly stood up. Was Ash and the others going to see those two around here lately? It seemed like following that unlucky Ash might actually lead to some good things. Thankfully, nothing happened, so she continued on her way. Xihen decided to wait for Ash and the others, though she didn't intend to meet them immediately. She planned to see them as soon as Mizuki and Darkrai appeared. Even if she wasn't sure she could catch them, she wanted to find a way for one of them to help her. At least she couldn't let this opportunity slip away. Meanwhile, in Godland Town, there was a Pokémon contest. Having collected all the ribbons, she had no interest in the contest anymore. Lost in thought, Xihen didn't realize it was dawn. She wondered where Ash and the others were now, since they hadn't just arrived in Marshland City. She needed to do something before Mizuki and Darkrai arrived, so she decided to wander around town. The most famous place in town was probably the Godland Town Historical Research Institute. The Historical Research Institute? I'm not interested in history. I'd better not go. Xihen passed the Godland Town Historical Gym in town, glanced at it, but didn't go in. Distracted, Xihen wasn't looking where she was going and bumped into someone. Sorry, Xihen apologized casually without looking at the person, since she hadn't actually fallen. Oh, you can't walk without looking where you're going. The person she bumped into smoothed their long blonde hair and said to Xihen. Although Xihen hadn't seen the person, she caught a glimpse of a strand of long blonde hair out of the corner of her eye. She looked up and saw the person. Champion Cynthia, Xihen said casually, looking at her. You know me, it would be strange if I didn't. Cynthia is indeed very beautiful, but Xihen's mind was currently focused on May, and she had no interest in flirting with Cynthia. Just kidding. How could I let Cynthia get away with this? That's right, want to come to the History Institute with me? The director is my grandma. No interest. I'm not going. Okay, next time you should look ahead, Cynthia said as she walked into the History Institute, having actually been rejected. That kid. Xihen watched Cynthia leave and curled his lip. She's in her 20s, but she still acts like a child. You have the nerve to call others that. Baby Fang Dragon, come out. Xihen walked into the forest and took out Baby Fang Dragon. Since he probably had nothing to do these next few days, training Pokémon was a good option. Baby Fang Dragon, train with me here these next few days. Your level isn't low. With intensive training, you still have a chance to evolve. Okay. Baby Fang Dragon became unhappy at the mention of intensive training. He had been jumping around happily earlier. Glisker, come out, you two. You'll train here these next few days. You and Baby Fang Dragon will spar. Glisker was much more determined than Baby Fang Dragon. Xihen wanted him to become stronger, and he wanted to become stronger too. Now that he had this opportunity, He certainly wouldn't let it pass. Grottle, you train them, with Garchomp as their trainer? Xihen didn't need to put in the effort himself. Ha! Garchomp glanced at Glisker and Baby Fang Dragon, glaring at them fiercely, its meaning clear. From today onwards, I'm training you. You'd better train hard. Baby Fang Dragon and Glisker, even though Glisker was a dark-type Pokémon, were somewhat afraid of Garchomp after being glared at by Xihen. Since Xihen had nothing else to do, he simply sat under a tree and began polishing his Pokéballs. The GS balls were already sparkling, but now they were polished even brighter in Xihen's hands. The GS balls passed from Professor Juniper to Professor Oak, from Professor Oak to Ash, back to Professor Juniper, then to Professor Mountain, and now back to Xihen. Your Garchomp is quite impressive, a pleasant voice reached Xihen's ears while he was lost in thought. Xihen snapped back to reality. It's you again, it was Cynthia. After leaving the research lab, Cynthia was preparing to return to the league and encountered Xihen on her way back. Why do you seem to dislike me? Not at all. Xihen stood up and dusted off his cloak. Miss Cynthia, don't you usually have much to do? I'm fairly free. Are you also going to challenge the Lily of the Valley tournament trainers? Cynthia walked over to her baby dragon and patted its head. The baby dragon happily squinted its eyes. Chirp! Garchomp roared at the baby dragon. What were you doing during training? The baby dragon immediately ran back to continue training with Glisker. Wow, Garchomp is so strict, Cynthia said, looking at Xihen's Garchomp. Since Miss Cynthia is so free, why don't you play with my Garchomp? I heard that Miss Cynthia's Garchomp is very strong. Xihen challenged Cynthia without hesitation, not because he thought his Garchomp could defeat Cynthia's Garchomp. That's the strongest Garchomp ever. While his own Garchomp was indeed strong, it had never lost a one-on-one battle, making it too arrogant. He needed to be tempered. Of course, since we're so destined to meet, let's go. Cynthia's aura shifted dramatically, completely shedding her previous girl-next-door demeanor. She took out her Garchomp, Chirp. Although it was a female Garchomp, its presence was incredibly strong. Xihen's Garchomp had noticed them from the start, but hadn't come over unless Xihen called it. Garchomp. Xihen called out to Garchomp, and it immediately jumped in front of him. Chirp. Garchomp looked at the female Garchomp opposite it and growled softly, as if saying, I couldn't be happier with this opponent. Meanwhile, Baby Fang Dragon and Glisker breathed a sigh of relief. That guy's got some work to do. We can rest for now. The two Pokémon exchanged a glance, understanding each other's thoughts. Training can't be interrupted either, they said. Spirit Superior, Infernape, you two go train them together. Xihen's words sank the two pets' hearts to the bottom. Come on, Earth Dragon, Dragon God Dive. Chapter 30, Xihen vs Zelona, the battle continues. Come on, Garchomp, Dragon Dive. Garchomp unleashed a terrifying killing intent, its wings glowing blue as it rammed into its opponent. This move sometimes made the opponent flinch. Garchomp, block it. Cynthia, true to her champion status, remained calm. Her Garchomp stretched out its arms to block Dragon Dive. Garchomp, Dragon Tail. Garchomp broke free from Garchomp's grasp, lashing Garchomp's face with its tail. Garchomp staggered back several steps, while Garchomp retreated a few steps. Cynthia's Garchomp is called Garchomp, while Xihen's is called Garchomp, making them easy to distinguish. Not bad, Garchomp. Use Attract. Oh no, Garchomp. Xihen hadn't noticed anything unusual about Garchomp. Could it be female too? Why didn't it work? Is Garchomp female? Cynthia was also puzzled, so she asked Garchomp. Garchomp shook its head, indicating that it wasn't, it was male. In that case, Garchomp, use Sandhell. Cynthia didn't dwell on the matter and used another troublesome move on Garchomp. Sand surged up from Garchomp's feet, causing it to sink in. However, the damage from this move wasn't significant, it just meant Garchomp couldn't switch Pokémon. Gargoyle, use Swords Dance to break free. Garchomp used Swords Dance, dispelling all the surrounding sand. This removed even the binding ability and increased its attack power, a double win. Swords Dance can be used like this? What a worthy opponent. Garchomp, go all out. Use Giga Impact, Cynthia shouted. Garchomp's eyes turned red, and it charged at Garchomp. Gargoyle, no need to fight him head-on. Hyper Beam, are you kidding me? You use Giga Impact, and I'm supposed to fight you head-on? What's the use of power if you can't get close to me? Hyper Beam slammed into Garchomp, and Giga Impact abruptly stopped in front of Garchomp, both of them stunned. You need to use your brain in battle, Xihen pointed to her head, but if your level isn't high enough, you can't stop it. This Garchomp's level looks pretty high, Cynthia was unconvinced. She had been full of confidence when she unleashed Giga Impact, but it was stopped by Hyper Beam. Garchomp, use Earthquake as soon as you're stunned. Garchomp, slash. Sure enough, Garchomp was out of stunned mode and slash Garchomp away. Garchomp retreated a long way. Garchomp, Dragon Tail. Just as Dragon Tail was about to hit, Garchomp unleashed Earthquake. Garchomp's body tilted and missed, and it even took damage from the earthquake. Groundhog, Dragon Rage, Garuda, Steel Tail, the two were very close. Although Steel Tail missed, it interrupted Dragon Rage. Cold sweat dripped down Xihen's face. A champion is a champion. This was the first time Xihen had felt pressure, and it was the most difficult battle he had ever faced. Groundhog, jump away, Rock Slash. Groundhog moved away from Garuda, and tough rocks appeared around it, stabbing at Garuda. Garuda easily dodged each incoming rock. Seeing this, Xihen smiled. Groundhog, Sandhell, Garuda, in the middle of its jump, suddenly lost its footing and stepped into quicksand, being hit by several sharp blades. The blades that had fallen to the ground around it also stabbed at Garuda along with the quicksand. Cynthia's face immediately showed some panic. How long had it been since she had seen Garuda in such a miserable state? Garuda, come out quickly, use Swords Dance. Cynthia actually used what she had just learned, using Xihen's method to escape Sandhell. This Garchomp is indeed impressive, and as you and I know, Xihen is a new trainer. I wonder how you, with your trainer level, managed to control this Garchomp, but your battle techniques are truly excellent, to the point that you almost defeated it. It's an honor that Miss Cynthia knows my name. As for defeating your Garchomp, I think you haven't used your full strength yet. Xihen met Cynthia's eyes, and the two stared at each other. Garchomp and Garchomp also stared back, and a subtle spark ignited between the two Pokémon, making them inseparable from then on. If you want me to use my full strength, then let's go, Xihen and Cynthia said one after the other. Chapter 31, Mega Garchomp, Garchomp's first defeat. If you want me to go all out, then come on, Xihen and Cynthia said one after the other. Garuda. Mega Evolution, Xihen and Garchomp were both stunned. Garchomp, is that okay? Yes, Garchomp answered firmly. So what if it evolved? If Garchomp was level 90, then Cynthia's Garuda would definitely be level 100. With Garchomp and Xihen's tactics, they could barely defeat a level 100 Garuda, which would be considered a cross-level challenge. Now that Garuda had undergone a Mega Evolution, its level would be equivalent to Garuda being level 120 and Garchomp being level 90. Or, Garchomp would be level 70 and Garuda level 100. Even if Xihen tried to be clever, under absolute strength, any clever tricks would be useless. Garchomp, Poison Sting. Garchomp shot out thin purple lines at Garuda. Garuda took the hit and was lucky enough to be poisoned. Alright, Garchomp, keep going, use Will-O-Wisp. Will-O-Wisp is a skill that guarantees a 100% burn on the opponent. Even against an opponent you can't defeat, as long as you keep putting them in a negative state, their strength will definitely decrease. Oh? Is that your plan? Garchomp. Dodge and use Quick Attack. Garchomp instantly dodged Will-O-Wisp, so fast that it was nowhere to be seen, and then used Quick Attack to knock Garchomp away. So fast, it wasn't until Garchomp was sent flying that Xihen reacted. Garchomp stood up unwillingly. How could it be that it didn't react in time? Garchomp. Garchomp, use. Garchomp. Use Flamethrower. Before Xihen could finish speaking, Cynthia attacked first, unleashing a flame many times stronger than a normal flamethrower at Garchomp. Garchomp's previous injury had made it sluggish, and it couldn't dodge this attack, getting hit again. Gargoyle. Xihen rushed behind Gargantuar and caught it, hugging it tightly. Xihen's back slammed against a tree. Clatter, Gargantuar jumped up to catch Xihen. Gargoyle, don't worry about me. Xihen looked at Cynthia's Mega Garchomp beside her. Gargoyle, one day you'll be stronger than her. Believe me, that day won't be long. Xihen looked at Gargantuar, who nodded. Lost? Xihen stood up. The previous injury hadn't seriously hurt her. It was a really good battle. Cynthia recalled Gargantuar and returned to her friendly, approachable demeanor. If your Gargantuar trains more and Mega Evolves, it might be able to have a good fight with my Garchomp. Even so, Cynthia didn't say Xihen would win. Thank you for the compliment. You truly deserve to be the Sinnoh champion. I look forward to your challenge in the Sinnoh League, Cynthia said, turning to leave. Wait a minute, what's wrong? Cynthia turned around and looked at Xihen in surprise. This guy actually called her. Could I ask you for a favor? Tell me, help me find a Pokemon called Celebi. Although Xihen currently has Celebi, as mentioned before, this guy is probably going to sleep for a long time. Why do you need to find one? Cynthia looked at Xihen with a sweet smile and didn't refuse. Well, can I tell you later? Okay, I'll keep an eye out, Cynthia said, waving her hand behind her back and leaving. This seems to be Xihen's way of leaving, right? Right, I haven't asked her why she knows my name yet. Does she have a crush on me? No. Xihen looked up to ask her, but found that Cynthia was already gone. Gargoyle, you should come back and rest. I'll help you find a Mega Stone these few days to help you increase your power. Xihen patted Garchomp's shoulder. This guy is quite a bit taller than him. Cha. Garchomp responded, but didn't return to its Pokeball. Instead, it went to the side of the baby dragon and Glisker, sending Infernape and Snivy back. Xihen shook his head helplessly. What a responsible instructor. He wondered how long he'd have to wait for Ash. If it took too long. Wait, damn it, he remembered. Ash and the others are currently studying at Professor Yamanashi's MT Coronet branch. His brain has been getting worse lately. If he hadn't wanted to ask Professor Yamanashi about Ash's next route, he wouldn't have thought of it. What to do? Go find them, or wait here? Chapter 32 This World? Garchomp and Suicune. I wonder how long I'll have to wait for Ash. If it takes too long. Wait, right? I remember now, Ash and his friends are studying at Professor Yamanashi's branch in MT Coronet. My brain's been getting worse lately. If I hadn't wanted to ask Professor Yamanashi about Ash's next route, I wouldn't have thought of that. What should I do? Go find them, or wait here? After much deliberation, Xihen decided to go find them tomorrow. Tonight, he'll train and rest here while battling Cynthia. Before he knew it, dusk had fallen. Xihen took out Pokemon food and distributed it to his 6 Pokemon while he sat under a tree and ate some dry rations. It's terrible that the young master of the Shinryu family is eating dry rations every day. Luckily, the Pokemon food is high-end, otherwise, I wonder how many little guys would have run away. Xihen also gave Garchomp emergency treatment to his wounds. There shouldn't be any problems for now. When it was time to sleep, Garchomp went to train underwater. This time, Xihen specifically instructed him to bring back any good water-type Pokemon he encountered. Then he went to sleep. After staring at the GS ball for a while, Xihen put it aside and fell asleep. That night, he dreamed of Dream God and Nightmare God again. What were those two doing? Were they clinging to me? Xihen woke up around 3 a.m. and couldn't fall back asleep. He packed up his tent and sat by the river. The Garchomp underwater noticed Xihen but didn't come out, knowing he was either unable to sleep or already awake and wouldn't set off at this time. Xihen stared at the river. The clear water allowed him to see the Garchomp training diligently underwater. Why did he want to become stronger? This thought sprouted in Xihen's mind. Become stronger? What was the purpose of coming to this world? Was it interesting? He didn't even know how he came to this world, so how could he find out what he was here for? Had he thought about going back? Of course not. That world was without parents and without money. This world, though also without parents, was very wealthy, and he had Pokemon to accompany him. Why go back to that world? It has to be said that Xihen is quite the daydreamer. He was daydreaming until dawn. The sun was about to rise, and Xihen stood up, ready to set off. As he called for Garchomp, the water suddenly rippled, and 2 water jets shot into the sky. Garchomp then landed on the ground, while the other water jet landed gracefully on the water's surface. Ow! A soft cry came from the water's surface, staring intently at Garchomp. This guy had inexplicably attacked him. Although he had only been here for a little over 2 months and didn't know what he was supposed to do, this area had already been conquered. He never expected such a powerful creature to dare attack him. This is Suicune. Xihen looked at the Pokemon on the water's surface with excitement. I didn't expect the Pokemon you found to be her. Chirp, Garchomp replied to Xihen. Huh? Suicune glanced at Xihen, paused slightly, then pounced on her. Chirp, Garchomp saw Suicune pounce on Xihen and was in for a moment, but Suicune was incredibly fast, landing on Xihen without attacking. Instead, it affectionately licked Xihen's cheek. Xihen was stunned for a second, then quickly realized that this was her Sukyun. Sukyun, did you also end up here by accident? Xihen asked, helplessly grabbing Sukyun's head as she was pinned to the ground. Garchomp was somewhat surprised that Sukyun hadn't attacked Xihen, but quickly relaxed. After all, this wasn't the first time. The last time, Salamence had done the same thing. Garchomp looked around and then returned to its Pokeball. Ow, ow, Shui Jun howled, clinging to Xihen. Since arriving here, she remembered nothing except a person named Along. Feeling Along's presence in this person, she was certain this was the person she had been waiting for. She pounced on him, finally able to leave this place. This lake was so small, even staying at the bottom every day wouldn't be comfortable. Please give a recommendation vote and add to your favorites. Also, seeing that there aren't many people in the book club yet, I'll post the group number again. 601,790,591. Chapter 33 Arcanine Girl, Ghost-type Main Force. Sukyun, just keep going in that direction. At your speed, you should be there today. Xihen sat on Sukyun's back, running towards MT Coronet. It felt really good to be on Sukyun's back, but training couldn't be neglected. Leading the way was Glisker. Having been trained by Garchomp, Glisker was more than capable of handling the little creatures in this forest. With Glisker leading the way, Sukyun carried Xihen at breakneck speed. It was only 10 a.m., they should reach MT Coronet by the afternoon. With Sukyun's powerful assistance, the chances of catching Nightmare, Dreamweaver, and Celebi had increased considerably. After running for about 2 hours, Xihen felt hungry and stopped to rest. Sukyun seemed quite tired too. Thanks for your hard work, Sukyun. Ow. Sukyun rubbed against Xihen's leg, showing no displeasure. Let's go eat something, then we need to keep going. Xihen took out some Pokemon food and placed it aside, then summoned the remaining 6, Garchomp, Infernape, Snivy, Ninetales, Glisker, and Baby Fang Dragon, including Sukyun, making a total of 7. I need to constantly remind myself who I brought. Xihen sat by the pond, munching on dry food. He was getting tired of it. He'd have to find something different next time. After resting for a bit, he trained for an hour. After training, they continued their journey. This time, Ninetales led the way. Ninetales dashed ahead, disappearing from Xihen's sight. If Xihen hadn't told Sukyun to slow down, Ninetales would have been left behind. Ow. Xihen slowly caught up with Ninetales, only to see that Ninetales had just defeated an Arcanine. Xihen rode Sukyun to Ninetales' side. It seemed that this Arcanine had been bothering Ninetales for quite some time, otherwise it wouldn't have been caught. Ah, my Arcanine, oh? You're trying to catch my Ninetales? Xihen looked towards the source of the voice. It was a girl. Ah. I'm so sorry, I didn't know it had an owner. The girl quickly bowed and apologized to Xihen, then paused. Is this Sukyun? The girl ran over and tried to pet Sukyun's head, but Sukyun growled at her, and she quickly withdrew her hand. Yes, but she doesn't like strangers touching her, Xihen said, putting away Ninetales. It seemed her Arcanine was quite good. It had injured Ninetales, but only after Ninetales had exhausted a lot of its stamina. Wow, that's amazing. How did you catch Sukyun? The girl's behavior reminded Xihen of how May had reacted when she met Garchomp in Valor. That's my business. If you have something to do, you should take your Arcanine to the Pokemon Center, Xihen said, telling Sukyun to continue on its way. I have other things to do, so I won't chat with you any longer. Xihen waved and left. Hey, the girl called out, but Xihen didn't answer, having already run far away. I only have Arcanine. I can't get out of the forest like this, the girl said quietly, recalling Arcanine and looking at the Pokeball. She had originally wanted Xihen to take her out. However, she seemed completely unaware that simply following Xihen was enough. Sure enough, according to Xihen's calculations, they arrived in the afternoon. It was 4 o'clock now, and Xihen had arrived at the location of the Pokemon summer training. Actually, Professor Yamanashi had asked Xihen if she wanted to come, but Xihen had refused and quickly forgotten about it. However, the atmosphere here was a bit strange. Many people were running around, doing who knows what. To avoid being asked a bunch of annoying questions, Xihen had recalled Sukyun as soon as she arrived, so now she was running around looking for Professor Yamanashi. Professor Yamanashi, after running for a while, she finally found him. Oh? Xihen, why are you back? I just came to check on things. What happened here? Oh, Right, come with me quickly. Some students taking exams ran into trouble and are about to be taken to the spirit world, Professor Yamanashi said, leading a group of people to continue running, with Xihen following behind. The spirit world? Oh, right, speaking of which, there seems to be a pretty good Dusknoir here. We could consider catching it as a ghost-type main. Currently, Xihen's main pet is undoubtedly Garchomp, her water-type main is naturally Suicune, her grass-type main is Snivy, her fighting type is Infernape, and if possible, she'd train Ninetales to be a fire-type main. There was a misconception earlier, the GS ball isn't in Juniper's hands, it's in Professor Uchiji's. Chapter 34 Night Demon, can you take me to the spirit realm? When the group arrived at the so-called entrance to the spirit world, they saw Dusknoir protecting Ash and a short-haired girl named Himwari. The entrance was eventually sealed, and Dusknoir, seeing everything was alright, was about to leave. Wait a minute, Dusknoir. Come battle me. If you lose, come with me. Xihen immediately stopped Dusknoir. Dusknoir paused for a moment, then nodded at Xihen. Brother Xihen, are you going to catch him? Ash asked, actually wanting to catch him too. Yeah, go ahead, Glisker. Xihen took out Glisker. Glisker is super effective against ghost types, giving it an advantage in both level and type. Glisker, use Shadow Ball, a dark energy ball shot towards Dusknoir, which Dusknoir countered with a Shadow Ball, knocking away Glisker's Shadow Ball. Dusknoir's Shadow Ball even hit Glisker with undiminished power. Glisker, dodge quickly. Use Agility followed by Dark Pulse. Glisker nimbly dodged the Shadow Ball, then used Agility, unleashing Dark Pulse while moving, hitting Dusknoir. Alright, press your advantage. Dark Hole, what kind of move is Dark Hole? Ash asked Professor Yamazaki. Dark Hole is a move that forcibly drags the opponent into dark space, causing them to fall asleep. What a powerful move. Dark Hole activated, and a vortex appeared in front of Dusknoir, passing through it. When Dusknoir emerged, it was already asleep and lying on the ground. Nice. Pokeball. Xihen threw out a Pokeball, catching Dusknoir, which only struggled twice before stopping. Xihen caught Dusknoir. I caught Dusknoir. What are you so excited about? Xihen said to Ash, taking the Pokeball from Glisker. Ash seemed embarrassed and scratched his head. I didn't expect you to have a Glisker. You have one too. Xihen only remembered when Ash asked him that he seemed to have one. Yeah, I just evolved from Glisker not long ago. Professor, what is the spirit world? Xihen answered and then ignored Ash, asking the professor. The spirit world, as the name suggests, is where the souls of the dead reside. What? Xihen was naturally very excited to hear that. This meant he wouldn't have to risk catching Darkrai or going to find Celebi. What's wrong? Professor Yamanashi saw Xihen's excited appearance and didn't know what was wrong with him. No, nothing. Xihen shook his head, looking at the sealed entrance to the spirit world. Since everything's alright, let's go back first, Professor Yamanashi said, leading the way. Zhi looked at Xihen thoughtfully. Even though he was usually quite slow-witted, he could tell what Xihen was thinking, but he didn't say anything and followed Professor Yamanashi. Xiaoguang and Xiaogang were usually quite clever, so they naturally saw what Xihen was thinking, but there was nothing they could do to stop him. The spirit world, the entrance. Xihen took one last look at the entrance to the spirit world, then followed Professor Yamanashi and the others back to the school. Right. Can't the night demon take people to the spirit world? Xihen walked to the side and took out the night demon. Night demon, can you take me to the spirit world? The night demon hadn't been injured before and had almost recovered on its own. Ugh, the night demon vehemently objected to the matter, waving its hands and shaking its head. Why? Ugh, never mind, I don't understand what you're saying. Alright, I remember now. You can only bring wandering spirits to the spirit world, not living people. Ugh, seeing that Xihen understood the reason, Xihen wasn't in a hurry anymore. Xihen recalled the night demon and returned to the room arranged by Professor Yamanashi to sleep. Before going to sleep, she couldn't help but take out her GS ball to observe it again. The day after Xihen woke up, there was a Pokemon triathlon being held here, the last competition, but Xihen wasn't interested. After they left, Xihen took out Glisker and Baby Fang Dragon to start training. Since Garchomp had taught them training methods, Xihen didn't need to do anything else. These two Pokemon are quite good. Professor Yamanashi came over with Nurse Joy while the two Pokemon were training. Oh, these are all Pokemon I just caught these past few days. They're really quite good. Xihen looked at the two Pokémon and then took out Dusknoir. Logically speaking, isn't this guy a ghost type? I remember he can also use psychic type moves like psychic. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 35 Haunter and Axu, Professor Oak. Looks like you've had a good haul these past few days, a baby fang dragon, a Glisker, and yesterday's Dusknoir. Professor Yamanashi sized up the Dusknoir, which awkwardly stepped back a little. Thank you for the compliment, Professor. How are the Pokémon at the lab? Speaking of which, the Ghastly you brought back at the beginning evolved into Haunter, really? That's great news. I'll have to bring it back to evolve into Ghastly another day. Xihen smiled, her gaze shifting to the Glisker and Baby Fang Dragon battling. Suddenly, Baby Fang Dragon emitted a burst of white light. Looks like my luck has really turned around these past few days. Baby Fang Dragon evolved into Axu. Glisker was taken aback, then laughed, clearly happy for Axu. Kawa, Axu waved its arms happily. They're back, Xihen recalled the three Pokémon. Time had flown by after just a short chat. In the end, Ash won first place, and the summer training ended. The next day, Xihen left with Ash and his group. Xihen Jack, have you decided to travel with us? Ash looked at Xihen excitedly. Yes, Teacher Xihen. Dawn was probably the happiest person here. Well, I've collected enough ribbons, and I don't have much to do lately. I'll just go with you guys, get a few badges, and then challenge the Lily of the Valley Conference and the Pokemon contest. I can also teach Dawn a bit. Xihen smiled and patted Dawn's head, and Dawn shyly bared her head. That's great. I'll take care of everything for your Pokemon from now on. Xia Gang, the babysitter, even volunteered to take care of the Pokemon. Sure, but there are a few I'd better handle myself. They don't lie to people other than me. Xihen smiled and didn't refuse Xia Gang's offer. It was better for him to take care of Garchomp and Suicune himself. On the way, Xia Guang performed the show she was going to prepare for the next Pokemon contest for Xihen. Piplup used Bubble Beam to create the shape of Piplup in the air, and then pierced it with her beak. How was it? How was it, Teacher Xihen? Xia Guang looked at Xihen with shining eyes, but Xihen gently shook his head, and Xia Guang's face fell. What's wrong, Teacher Xihen? Did you do something wrong? The performance was very good, but your Piplup will collapse if you keep going like this. As soon as Xihen finished speaking, Piplup collapsed on Xihen. Xihen sighed, and then went to the Pokemon Center with him. She had never encountered such a thing when she was alone. In the afternoon, after learning that Piplup was alright, Xia Guang and the others relaxed a lot. They even had a phone call with Professor Oak. Oh? You must be Xihen. Ash and the others often mention you. Hello, Professor Oak. Xihen also greeted Professor Oak. Xihen, do you have any plans to travel to the Kanto region? I'd love to welcome you then. Not yet, but could you do me a favor, Professor? Oh? Tell me about it, and I'll help you if I can. Professor Oak readily agreed. I'm looking for a Pokemon named Celebi. Could you help me with that, Celebi? You want to find Celebi? Well, I can't guarantee that. I can only try to find one in the Kanto region. Thank you, Professor. Xihen bowed to Professor Oak on the screen to express his gratitude, then chatted with Ash, Dawn, and Professor Oak for a while before hanging up. As for the evening, Team Rocket came to steal Pokeballs again, but they were blasted away by Pikachu's Thunderbolt. It was rather pointless. So Xihen didn't even go out and continued sleeping in his room. He kept all his Pokeballs on his person. After a night of chaos, I continued my journey the next day at Nurse Joy's instruction. Although traveling with Ash and the others wasn't as convenient as traveling alone, at least I had someone to keep me company. I planned to write about the Nightmare God and the Dream God in a special episode, so I'll skip that part and start my solo journey from now on. After putting Maze Matter behind me, what new fun will Yuki's journey bring? Chapter 36 Pokemon Contest, Lily and Dawn. Being with Ash, nothing seems too strange. They ran into Nozomi on the road, and Nozomi's opponent was Melika, the gym leader of the City of Fate that Ash had challenged but was traveling. Oh? Miss Melika, oh? You're Xihen, right? Melika recognized Xihen. Yes, long time no see. Let's finish this battle first. A few minutes later, Nozomi's charm was indeed defeated by Melika. She's Melissa, the gym leader of Fate City, Xihen introduced to Ash and the others. Ah, finally we've met the gym leader of Fate City. By the way, Ash has been to the Fate City gym several times, but Miss Melissa is always absent. Nozomi smiled and said to Ash. Yet, the three of them nodded. I'm a traveling Pokemon trainer like everyone else right now. The Fate City gym is basically closed, Melissa said seriously. What an irresponsible trainer. Xihen glanced at the nearby bushes and saw Team Rocket. She scoffed. What an annoying bunch. What? Ash and the others looked at Xihen strangely. Dusknoir, use Hyper Beam on that bush. Xihen didn't answer them, simply using Dusknoir to send Team Rocket flying. They were persistent, but they wouldn't get a chance to play today. What's that? Melissa looked at the Team Rocket trio flying into the distance. Just a bunch of persistent ghosts. Let's go inside and talk, don't stand here. Xihen recalled Dusknoir and led everyone into the Pokemon Center. Melissa, why don't you go back to the gym? I think there are many challengers besides me who want to battle you. Sitting inside, Ash couldn't help but ask Melissa. After battling Xihen, I wanted to become stronger, and that's to challenge the gym leaders, Melissa said a lot, finally convincing Ash and the others, but Xihen had become a shield. Miss Melissa, how about another battle? Xihen smiled and asked Melissa. No, after seeing your night demon just now, I knew I was still no match for you. Then Miss Melissa, let's battle. I also want to have a contest battle with Miss Melissa, Ash and Dawn said. Melissa naturally agreed. First, Ash battled Melissa. The first match was Swimmet vs Floople. Floople won. Floople vs Chimchar. Chimchar was hypnotized and fell asleep. Floople vs Pikachu. Floople evolved and won. Melissa battled Ash, and Melissa won a 1-vote-3 victory. Poor Ash, he couldn't even beat a Floople. What happened to his protagonist's Halo? Another boring day. Melissa left, and Ash was depressed all day. By evening, he was thinking about how to counter hypnosis. What a straightforward boy. Why can't you just avoid being hypnotized? Xihen and the others had all met Suicune before, and they were incredibly excited the first time they saw her. They were still excited to see her again, and Xiaoyang was even more excited. The next day, Xihen and his group continued their journey, staying temporarily in a small cabin in the forest. Xiaoyang said he wanted to buy medicine for Pokemon, but Xihen stopped him, as he had plenty of medicine on him. He was always too lazy to go to the Pokemon Center, so carrying extra medicine would be a good idea. Then, the three of them bathed all the Pokemon. As for Garchomp, Suicune, and Dusknoir, it was better for Xihen to do it himself. The day passed without incident. They encountered Team Rocket, though they were scared away by Dusknoir. They stayed another night and were finally close to Pleasant Town. They had indeed wasted a lot of time. The next day, they quickly arrived in Pleasant Town. Xiaoguang called her mother first, and also asked Xihen to say hello. After all, Xihen was Xiaoguang's nominal mentor, and she had promised Xiaoguang's mother to take good care of her. Then they went about their own business. Xiaozhi was trying to figure out a way to counter hypnosis, while Xiaogang and Xiaoguang went to find Miss Lily, but they didn't find her. Instead, they bumped into Xihen, who was wandering around aimlessly. Ah, it's you. Hearing the voice, Xihen turned around. It was the girl who had tried to catch his Ninetales in the forest that day. Oh? It's you? Xihen turned back to look at her. Kid, what kind of look is that? The girl said, annoyed by Xihen's somewhat disdainful gaze. Nothing, you just look familiar. HMPH, you only recognize me now. That's right, I'm Lily, the one known as the God and Demon Lily. Oh, it's you. My name is Xihen. Old lady. She was initially happy to hear that Xihen recognized her, but then hearing old lady was just... Damn it. Who's an old lady? I'm only 30. 30, the corrupted Miss Lily clenched her fists angrily. Boring, who cares how old you are? Xihen waved his hand at her again with his back turned. When had Lily ever been treated like this? She was always the one putting on a show for others. Xihen didn't go to the grand fashion contest in the afternoon. After all, she had already collected all 5 ribbons. Actually, Lily didn't look 30 at all, she looked like she was 17 or 18, which was quite alluring. However, Xihen wasn't interested in her. Her mind was full of Nightmare Goddess, Dream Goddess, and me, so she didn't even go to the venue in the afternoon. Finally, it was Lily's battle against Hikari. Unexpectedly, Hikari won. When she learned that Hikari was Xihen's disciple, she gritted her teeth in anger. Hikari was also completely confused. What could make the usually calm Miss Lily show such an expression? Chapter 37, Vajra Jade Soul and White Jade Soul face off against Team Galaxy for the first time. These are celebratory gifts, feel free to take whatever you like, Ash and you guys too. After the tournament, they arrived at Lily's shop. You'll have to pay for your share, Lily looked at Xihen beside her. It doesn't matter, I didn't really want anything anyway. Lily wanted to say something but didn't. It seemed she always got the short end of the stick when talking to this guy. The next day, amidst the bickering between Xihen and Lily, Ash and the others embarked on their journey again. Xihen learned that Team Galactic had stolen the Orb of the Diamond and was about to transport it to the Institute of History, along with the Orb of the White. Did she leave? Xihen suddenly heard Nurse Joy mention Cynthia to Ash and the others, and after thinking for a moment, he met Cynthia with Ash and the others. Ash and the others immediately went up to greet her. Oh? Xihen, are you with them too? Cynthia noticed Xihen. Who is he? Cynthia's grandmother asked Cynthia. So this is the trainer of the Garchomp I told you about before, the one who almost beat my Garchomp. Cynthia smiled and said to Professor Sylvanus. Oh my, what an amazing young man. Professor Sylvanus greeted her with a grin. Huh? Xihen's Garchomp almost beat Cynthia's Garchomp, Brock exclaimed, his mouth agape. Although he had seen that Garchomp was strong before, he hadn't expected it to snatch the prize. Xihen just smiled and didn't say anything. This was all the result of Garchomp's own hard work. He, as the trainer, had only used his brain. Hello, Professor Sylvanus. Seeing Professor Sylvanus approaching, Xihen shook hands and greeted her. Hello. It's rare to hear Cynthia praising someone these days. Professor Sylvanus was clearly a very cheerful person. Last time she came to Godin Town, Cynthia invited her to the History Museum, but she had refused. Thinking about it now, she couldn't help but laugh. Ash was recklessly challenging Cynthia, but she refused, as having his soul of adamant stolen was no small matter. Hey, young man, do you have a girlfriend? What do you think of our Cynthia? Professor Iris whispered in Xihen's ear. What was going on? Although Professor Iris's voice wasn't loud, everyone present heard it. Huh? Grandma, what are you saying? Cynthia was also embarrassed. She hadn't expected her grandmother to try and match her with Xihen. Really, Xihen was only 15 or 16 years old, a 6 or 7 year age gap. Haha, oh dear, this is Professor Iris's way of welcoming you. A man's voice broke the awkward silence. His name was Red Sun, ostensibly a celebrity in the Sinnoh financial world, but secretly the boss of Team Galactic. Therefore, Xihen kept a wary eye on Red Sun led by Professor Iris Veal. Ash and his friends entered the History Institute. Ash and Dawn revealed that they had seen the God of Emotion, Memory Gold, and the God of Will, as Elf. Yuuki noticed Red Sun's unusual gaze. Cynthia then introduced the 3 legendary Pokémon to Ash and the others. Following Red Sun's suggestion, the group, led by Professor Iris Veal, went to see the Jade Soul. However, Yuuki heard Red Sun snort coldly, as if he had achieved some goal. Upon arriving at the Jade Soul's entrance, Yuuki immediately recognized James and Jessie at the door. After the door opened, Yuuki and Ash saw the Jade Soul. The moment Yuuki saw the Jade Soul, he felt captivated. He slowly walked towards it. And under the astonished gazes of the others, he leaned down to look at the Jade Soul, feeling as if he were drawn in. After a slight daze, he suddenly trembled. Then Officer Jenny received news of the explosion at the God and the ruins. Yuuki ran out, taking one last look at Jade Soul. Crimson Sun gave him a deep look, but Jade Soul's door couldn't be closed. Cynthia decided to take Jade Soul elsewhere. Team Galactic also began their operation on the rooftop. Krogunk, for some reason, ran out on its own. Brock chased after it, telling Yuuki and the others to go first. However, Yuuki and the others encountered the blue-haired boy from Team Galactic at the door. This was Yuuki's first time fighting Team Galactic. Yuuki and Cynthia simultaneously ran out, Garchomp blocking the hypnosis spell, allowing Professor Iris to escape first. However, they were also blocked from behind, forming a pincer attack. At this moment, Krogunk fell from the rooftop, followed by Toxicroak. Garchomp, seeing Toxicroak hurtling towards Krogunk, Garchomp understood and used Quick Attack to knock Toxicroak away, leaving it lying on the ground unable to get up. No matter what your purposes, I will stop you. Go. Manatee, Stone Attack. Manatee's powerful stone attack immediately suppressed their momentum upon its appearance. You guys go, let me handle this, Sukyun, Xihen said, immediately taking out Sukyun. Giga Impact. Sukyun unleashed Giga Impact, directly clearing a path through the crowd. This is, Cynthia's beautiful eyes widened. It was the first time she had ever seen Sukyun, and it was even captured. Hurry up and go, okay, Xihen glanced at Cynthia. Why was she reacting like this? Oh, okay, let's go. Cynthia realized what was happening and led the others away, leaving Xihen to deal with them. Even the Jade Soul has been taken away. What's the use of you staring at me? Xihen said calmly, and sure enough, Team Galactic disappeared after saying that, and then Cynthia and her group suddenly returned. Where are they? Cynthia asked Xihen first. I don't know, they're all gone. What about the Jade Soul? Team Rocket took it, Ash said, following Cynthia, then Dawn, Brock, Iris, and Red Sun. Xihen shook his head, looking at the Krogunk in Brock's hand, and said, let's go to the Pokémon Center first. The group arrived at the Pokémon Center. None of Xihen's Pokémon were injured. Where did you catch your Sukyun? Cynthia and Xihen stood outside the ward. Cynthia asked Xihen, well, it's underwater near Godwood Town, the place where you and I fought last time. Oh, I see. Speaking of which, your Garchomp seems to have gotten stronger again. Xihen also took out Garchomp's Pokéball. This guy gets stronger every moment. Chapter 38 Bug-type Elite Four member, Glisker Pokémon Egg. The matter of the White Jade Soul and the Vajra Jade Soul was over yesterday. In the end, Team Galactic still managed to steal them. Ash and his friends continue their journey, heading towards Random Town. Xihen felt that traveling with Ash and his friends felt like they were constantly heading back. There, they encountered Xiaohu again. There was a scarf monster there, which turned out to be Xiaohu's Pokémon, but it just kept using Lickitung. Not wanting to pique Xihen's interest, Xihen helped her successfully capture Lickitung into its Pokéball. After the trainer who had Lickitung was excited to see it, the matter was dropped. It wasn't until the afternoon that Xihen and his group of four continued their journey. However, Xiaohu's parents seemed interested in Ash becoming their son-in-law. The next day, the group arrived at a small town, where someone named Arayu was said to be doing something. Oh, this Arayu was Arayu, the Bug-type Elite Four member of the Sinnoh region. Seeing Arayu's Drapion, Xihen seemed thoughtful, but watching him play cards was quite boring. Later, when Officer Jenny mentioned that Arayu was going to battle Cynthia, Xihen became a little interested, but why is Officer Jenny acting like this? Xihen looked at Arayu's Pokémon. It seemed that Drapion and Garchomp could handle them, and Garchomp could also take down the Queen Bee, and Sukyun could be dealt with as well. After getting Arayu's autograph, Ash and the others, with a protagonist aura, were invited to Arayu's training ground, a rather nice place. Mr. Arayu, would you like to battle me? Xihen suddenly asked Arayu beside her. Oh? If you're Cynthia's friend, of course I'd be happy to oblige. There's a battle arena in the back, come on. Arayu smiled and led everyone to the backyard. So, the battle rules are 2v2, no changing Pokémon, is that alright? Arayu stood opposite Xihen, who nodded. Brock then acted as the referee. Battle begins, go, Grapple. Arayu immediately changed his appearance during the battle. Grapple at his feet jumped onto the field. Grapple was Drapion's pre-evolution form. Mr. Arayu, be careful. Teacher Xihen almost defeated Ms. Cynthia's Garchomp, Xiao Guang said to Arayu from the sidelines. Oh? You seem pretty good. Arayu became even more serious. Grosser. Go, Ninetales. Xihen took out Ninetales, not only because of the type advantage, but also because Ninetales was better suited to dealing with opponents of this level. This Ninetales looks pretty good, and it seems to train a lot. Arayu praised Xihen's Ninetales without reservation. Thanks, come on, Xihen was about to launch an attack when a hot air balloon appeared, sucking away Xihen, Arayu's Ninetales, Grosser, and even the Drapion and Queen Bee Pikachu outside. Xihen was very dissatisfied. If it weren't for the later plot where Arayu would find his former companion, the Wurmple that was now Beautifier, damn it, what does it have to do with me? Glisker, take it down. Xihen threw out a Pokéball, and Glisker burst out, popping the balloon. All the Pokémon inside fell out, except for one Beautifly. What was this? The butterfly effect? Thank you for saving my Pokémon and Beautifly, thank you so much, Arayu. After catching up with Beautifly, thanked Xihen. Team Rocket had already been blasted away. It was getting dark, so it wasn't appropriate for Xihen and the others to stay any longer. As they were leaving, Aliu thanked Xihen. You're welcome. Mr. Aliu. Our battle isn't over yet, let's continue next time. Okay, if it's you, I'm always ready. Xihen nodded, waved, and left. Hey, wait a minute, what is it, Mr. Aliu? Here, this is for you. It's a Glisker Pokemon egg. I can tell you really like the final form of Drapion. Aliu took out a Pokemon egg from inside. Oh? Thank you. Xihen smiled at him and accepted the Pokemon egg. He really wanted to train a Pokemon as his main Poison-type Pokemon, and in his opinion, Drapion was a good choice. However, Drapion was relatively rare, and he was worried about where to find one. As for the battle between Aliu and Cynthia, Aliu naturally lost, and Cynthia successfully defended her title, which was not an unexpected result. Later, he saw Shinji again, and Shinji asked about Chimchar. Ash and the others were currently training, Brock was reasoning with Shinji, and Xihen was leaning against a tree, taking care of the Pokemon egg. Garchomp was training Axew and Glisker, Infernape was battling Ninetales, and Dusknoir was battling Snivy, which could also be considered training Snivy. Dusknoir had been tricked earlier, otherwise Xihen might not have been able to catch it, which meant that this Dusknoir was very strong. Shinji challenged Ash to a battle, pitting Curry against Turtwig, which evolved into Gravile, but still lost. Shinji then challenged Yuuki, who sat under a tree and glanced at him. Alright, who's up? Yuuki looked at the Pokemon beside him. Chirp, Garchomp volunteered. Haha, Garchomp, they're no match for you. You should train harder, Yuuki smiled contemptuously, clearly mocking Shinji. Glisker, next up was Glisker. Alright, go ahead, Yuuki agreed to Glisker's challenge. With Shinji's current strength, Glisker was more than capable of handling them. Glisker, is it? Okay, Glisker, you go. Shinji saw Yuuki send out Glisker and also called out his Glisker. Xihen didn't give any commands, letting Glisker fight on its own. HMPH, you think too highly of yourself. Glisker, Steel Wings. Shinji's Glisker used Steel Wings, but Xihen still didn't give the order. Brother Xihen. Give the order already. Xihen wasn't in a hurry, but Ash was. His Torterra had been sent to Nurse Joy, so he ran out. The Emperor isn't worried, but the eunuch is, Xihen thought to himself, still not giving the order, wiping the Pokemon egg. Dodge, Garchomp said, looking at Glisker. Xihen's Glisker nimbly dodged the attack. Strike, Glisker instantly used Quick Attack, knocking Shinji's Glisker away. Cha-cha, catch up and defeat him. After saying that, Garchomp turned away from the field and went to train Axew. Glisker caught up with Shinji and delivered a decapitation strike to his flying body, instantly KOing him. After the KO, Glisker returned to Garchomp to continue training. Garchomp is in charge, Dawn exclaimed excitedly, looking at Garchomp. Yeah, that Garchomp is really strong. Ash looked enviously at Yuuki's Garchomp. Unbelievably strong. Yeah, it's better to stay away from it in the future, the Team Rocket trio complained. TCH, Shinji recalled his Glisker in dissatisfaction. It couldn't even scratch the enemy, how could the difference in strength be so great? Shinji gave Garchomp a deep look, then left. Yuuki shook his head and continued wiping the Pokemon egg. Wasn't he afraid of wiping it until it burst? Chapter 39 Little Zhi, are you hungry? Traveling with Ash is indeed incredibly boring. Xihen knows what's going to happen next, and his group of miniature Pokemon is hardly interesting. Xihen's only enjoyment right now is taking care of Zhiangxi's Pokemon egg. This is his first time raising such a Pokemon, and he's determined to train it to be able to defeat Glisker. Hey Ash, are you still thinking about how to counter hypnosis? Xihen watched Ash and his Pokemon ponder this pointless question every day, so boring that they were even asleep while still thinking. Yeah, what to do? It's so hard. Ash clutched his head, looking like he had a headache. Why don't you just ask Teacher Xihen? He's already got the Ruins badge. Xiaoguang couldn't stand seeing him like this anymore. Yeah, Brother Xihen, teach me. Ash jumped up. I can ask you, you should have asked me earlier. I'll lend you my Glisker. Lend me my Glisker. Did you forget? My Glisker has a move called Dark Hole, which is a higher level skill than Hypnosis. You can learn it to counter Hypnosis, or use it to train your Pokemon. Oh yeah. How could I forget that? Okay. Let's start training now. Ash took the Pokeball from Xihen and ran off to train excitedly. This guy just keeps saying yes, 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 from the beginning until now. Ash was happy to get his Glisker, but Xihen was frustrated. Why hadn't he reached the Darkrai and Mewtwo storylines yet? Come to think of it, Ash seemed to have encountered a trainer using Darkrai before. That trainer was incredibly lucky. Why wasn't he so lucky? Failed again. Glisker, have you learned it yet? Ash had failed countless times, and he was even having Glisker learn Dark Hole while battling Xihen's Glisker. 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 Ash's Glisker shook its head, indicating it hadn't learned it yet. Ash, can't you just let Glisker watch properly? Multitasking is beyond your capabilities, Dawn mocked Ash mercilessly. Ash, you should take a break, Xihen said to Ash. No way. I have to learn this move, get lost. You're not tired, but my Glisker is. Xihen couldn't resist giving Ash a punch. Ouch, Ash cried out in pain as his head hit the ground. Glisker, come back. Xihen ignored his pain and recalled Glisker. Ash's Glisker was also exhausted, lying on the ground panting, as were his other Pokemon. Let's eat. It was already noon, and Gang, the full-time babysitter, had prepared lunch and Pokemon food and called everyone to eat. Give me the Pokemon egg too. Gang took the Pokemon egg from Xihen's hand. No need, I'll handle it myself. These are yours. Xihen took out Infernape, Glisker, Axew, Ninetales, and Sylveon. As for Garchomp and Dusknoir, it's better for Xihen to handle them himself. Those two scared Gang just so much his face turned pale the moment they appeared. He then looked at the GS ball. Doesn't this little guy need to eat? Isn't he hungry? And how do the little guys inside the Pokemon eggs eat? Chapter 40 Jay's message, a small green figure. After dinner, they weren't planning to set off, so Xihen rode Suicune into the mountains to see if he could find any Pokemon. Xihen from Sandstone Town, Xihen from Sandstone Town, there's a message for you. Oh? Ash, you guys go practice first, I'll come find you later. Xihen was afraid it was Jay calling, so he told Ash and the others to go outside. They didn't say anything and went out first. Xihen answered the phone. It was Butler Zhangji. Young Master, Hunter Jay has a message. Okay, connect me. Okay, the screen changed, and Hunter Jay appeared. Young Master Shanayu, long time no see. You found out? Yes, but that Celebi isn't in Sinnoh. Where? In Petalburg Woods in the Hone region. There's a place called the Forest of Time. Hone, Forest of Time. Okay, I understand. Xihen nodded. Butler Zhangji will give you the money. Xihen hung up the phone and then had Professor Yamanashi bring him a Haunter. Xihen tossed and caught Haunter's Pokeball repeatedly, walking out of the Pokemon Center. Ash, you guys practice first. I'll go up the mountain to see if there are any Pokemon. Okay, are you still taking them? Ash pointed to Xihen's Pokemon beside him. No need, I have Garchomp, Dusknoir, and Suicune, don't worry, Xihen said, then sat on Suicune's back and ran into the mountains. I want Suicune too, Dawn said enviously, looking at Xihen's Suicune. Me too, who doesn't want one? Let's hurry up and train. Ash also looked envious, who told him not to catch Suicune before. Xihen went uphill, using Haunter to clear the way. Xihen wanted to evolve Haunter into Jengar and use it as a ghost-type secondary, with Dusknoir as the main ghost-type. However, Haunter was lacking in training, and although it defeated quite a few, it still didn't have enough stamina and returned to its Pokeball to rest. This guy still needs more training. It's your turn now, Dusknoir, Nymph. Dusknoir nodded in agreement. After Ghastly failed, Dusknoir took over. Why are there so many Staraptors and Wurmple in this mountain? It can't be this bad, Nymph, Dusknoir said helplessly. These little guys were really no challenge. Rubby, a small green figure darted through the forest. It was Celebi. Xihen also saw a small green figure, but couldn't make out who it was. Suicune, go after it and see. At what Suicune responded and quickly chased after it. As the embodiment of the north wind, its speed was no joke. Gradually, it caught up with this small figure. It's Celebi. Suicune, hurry and catch up. Xihen hurriedly told Suicune to speed up. The surrounding wind stung Xihen's face. Lavi, Celebi noticed someone chasing her, looked back, but didn't stop. Instead, she ran even faster. Hey, Celebi. Don't run. Seeing Celebi about to escape, she became even more anxious. Wait. I need your help. Xihen ran behind, while Celebi fled ahead. showing no intention of stopping. Lavi, Celebi, chased by Xihen for a long time, finally stopped. Great, finally stopped. Xihen was overjoyed to see Celebi finally stop, but then she suddenly lost her footing and fell off a cliff. Lavi, Celebi smiled and flew away, knowing she wouldn't die. Xihen clung tightly to Sukyun's for Sukyun was in pain from the grip but didn't cry out. She landed steadily on the lowest point of the cliff face. As expected of the embodiment of the north wind, Xihen had experienced a cliff jump for the first time. Chapter 41 Reaching the cliff top. Damn you, Earth Dragon. Phew, that scared me to death. Xihen breathed a sigh of relief after landing with Sukyun. Ouch, Sukyun, I'm sorry. Did I hurt you? Xihen quickly let go of Sukyun's hand. Sukyun shook its head and rubbed against Xihen. Xihen patted Sukyun's head and smiled, looking at the cliff. It seemed that climbing up from here was the only way. Groundhog can't seem to fly up. What should we do? Alright, Nightmare, can you teleport? Xihen took out Nightmare and asked. Nightmare shook its head, indicating that it couldn't. Okay, come back. Xihen recalled Nightmare and Sukyun. If only I could teleport. This Celebi is really, Xihen sighed, not expecting to be tricked by Celebi. Xihen walked helplessly in the canyon. There were paths in front and behind, and the river flowed downstream, so Xihen walked downstream. Why isn't Xihen back yet? It's almost lunchtime. Ash had been training all morning, and his Glisker had finally learned Dark Void, but Xihen still hadn't returned. Could something have happened? Dawn was also a little worried. Don't worry, with Garchomp and the others, nothing will happen. And even if something does happen, if Garchomp can't handle it, you guys can't either, right? Brock put the utensils on the table and said to them. That seems to be true. Dawn smiled and sat down in a chair. What? Brock, you look down on me too. Ash was also very unhappy with Brock's words. I'm so hungry, Xihen shouted at the bottom of the cliff. When he reached the downstream end, there was a waterfall, and his backpack and everything else were still with Ash and the others. Poor Xihen hadn't eaten breakfast, and neither had Garchomp, Sukyun, Dusknoir, or Ghastly. Xihen sat down on the ground helplessly. If only she had brought Valor, but Alice, she hadn't. Xihen resolved that from now on, she would bring Valor or a flying Pokémon no matter what. Phew, I'll try anyway. Come on, Sukyun. Xihen took out Sukyun and prepared to climb up. Sukyun, jump as high as you can. Ow. Ow. Sukyun shook its head desperately. Even if it couldn't jump up by itself, how could it carry someone? Don't worry, I'll recall you when you're about to give up and let Garchomp carry me. Xihen decided to let Sukyun jump as high as it could, and then release Garchomp midair. That way, they could definitely make it up. Ow. Sukyun readily agreed. Xihen sat on Sukyun's back, and Sukyun began to jump upwards, carrying Xihen. Ow. Sukyun leaped a considerable distance in one bound, landed, and jumped again, continuing to jump up the cliff face. Xihen looked down at the cliff below, her heart trembling. It wouldn't be fun if she accidentally fell off Sukyun's back. Just as she was worrying about what might happen, Sukyun slipped and fell. Xihen frantically recalled the falling Sukyun and pulled out Garchomp, which caught her as she plummeted. The entire sequence of actions took only 2 or 3 seconds, but they still managed to fall quite a distance. Phew, I never want to do cliff jumping again. Garchomp, please, Garchomp, Garchomp replied, continuing its ascent. Xihen clung tightly to Garchomp's neck. They had finally flown halfway down the deep cliff, but only halfway, and the situation didn't seem very promising. Just as they were about to reach the top, Garchomp finally ran out of strength and, with a sudden burst of power, flung Xihen off the cliff. Xihen didn't react immediately. By the time she did, she was already flying towards the top. Garuda. You son of a bitch. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 42, finally rejoining the team, heading towards the Fate Dojo. Garuda. You son of a bitch, Xihen roared and was thrown up. Xihen landed perfectly, then slipped, and fell again. Garuda was also exhausted. Seeing Xihen fall, it rushed to catch him, but it seemed too late. That's good, May, I'm coming for you. My Pokémon is now in Ash's hands, Xihen thought to himself with his eyes closed. Sana, a white figure appeared beside Xihen, and the next second Xihen and Garchomp appeared. Ouch! Xihen landed on his butt and cried out in pain, but he landed on the edge of the cliff. Ouch! Ouch! You saved me! Xihen looked at Gardevoir beside him. Sana Gardevoir smiled and circled around Xihen. Thank you, Xihen patted Gardevoir's head. Sana, what's wrong? Xihen looked at Gardevoir, and Gardevoir looked back at Xihen. Could it be that you're my Gardevoir, and you came to save me because you knew I was in trouble? Sana Gardevoir nodded quickly, indicating that was indeed the case. That's great, Xihen hugged Gardevoir tightly. This little guy used to be the main force of his psychic and fairy type abilities. With this little guy around, poison, fighting, and dragon types were no problem. After a while, Xihen felt hungry and let go of Gardevoir. Gardevoir still circled around Xihen with a smile. Okay, Gardevoir, come with me. Xihen took out a Pokeball, and Gardevoir ran into it by herself. Xihen smiled. Although she didn't catch Celebi, it was still a good haul. Suicune, let's go back. Xihen took out Suicune again, sat on Suicune's back, and sped away. As they left the forest, Xihen took a deep look at the woods. Celebi, just wait until I come back to catch you. That's Teacher Xihen. Xiao Guang spotted Suicune and Xihen immediately and ran over. Xiao Zhi and Xiao Gang also ran over. Actually, they were already ready to set off, but they couldn't wait for Xihen. Now that Xihen was back, they could finally continue. Teacher Xihen, where did you go? We were so worried about you. Xiao Guang blurted out I was so worried about you, but then realized it wasn't appropriate, so she changed it to we were so worried about you. I saw Celebi, but it accidentally fell off a cliff, but it's okay. You fell off a cliff. Xiao Zhi grabbed Xihen's arm and looked it over from left to right, as if trying to check if it was hurt. Hey, don't do that. My sexual orientation is perfectly normal, okay? Xihen quickly pushed Xiao Zhi away and recalled Suicune. What sexual orientation? Xiao Zhi scratched his head, not understanding what she meant. Ahem. Stop fooling around, let's hurry up and leave. We've been here too long, and Glisker has learned Dark Void. Let's not stay any longer. Gang understood what Xihen was talking about and quickly grabbed Xiao Zi and Xiao Guang, returning Xihen's luggage and Pokeballs. The next stop was Yule City. Xihen was exhausted from challenging the Yule City gym. They had already fought it, but they still had to go again. If it weren't for wanting to join them in the story in Canal City, he wouldn't bother with them. He currently had Gardevoir, Dusknoir, Haunter, Axew, Sylveon, Ninetales, Suicune, Garchomp, and a Glisker egg. He could still bring 3 more Pokémon. Gardevoir, Psychic and Fairy-type main attacker, Dusknoir, Ghost-type main attacker, Haunter, Ghost-type sub-attacker currently being trained, Axew, Dragon-type sub-attacker currently being trained. Snivy, Grass-type main attacker, Ninetales, Fire-type main attacker currently being trained, Garchomp, always a main attacker. Chapter 43 Ash wins, Jengar and Glisker. They finally arrived in Yue City before dark. After dealing with the antics of Team Rocket and a Shinji fanatic, they decided to rest for the night before challenging the Yue City gym the next day. After a night's rest, Ash finally challenged the Yue City gym following Melissa's grand entrance. Ash and Melissa's battle officially began. There was also a Pokemon contest, but Dawn didn't seem to want to participate. 3 Pokemon were available. The first battle was between Melissa's Jengar and Ash's Courageous Weasel. Yuki also released Ghastly to watch. This guy needed experience, both in battle and as a spectator. Let them see the results of their special training. Water Jet. The Weasel unleashed a Water Jet, but Jengar dodged it without Melissa's command. The Weasel then used Sonic Boom, which was easily dodged again. Jengar began its attack. Jengar, use Shadow Punch. Shadow Punch is a move that Ghost-type Pokemon can always hit with. Jengar then used Hypnosis, but Ash had Boozle use Water Gun to block Hypnosis. Then Night Curse and Water Pulse clashed, and Boozle won in the end. Next was Mismagius vs Glisker. Alright, Glisker. Go, use Shadow Ball. Glisker used Shadow Ball on Mismagius, which quickly dodged. Now, Xihen and Ash shouted at the same time. What do you mean, now? What's wrong? Melissa asked, confused. Glisker, use Dark Hole on Mismagius. Glisker used Dark Hole, and a black hole appeared in front of Mismagius. Miss Magius was sucked in and came out asleep. What? Glisker can use dark hole? Melissa looked at Glisker in surprise. Of course, this is the result of our hard work these past few days. Glisker, Gillidan, a one-hit kill. Ash won the second battle again. Not bad, kid, Xihen praised him. Then I'll send out the third one. Balloon, go. Okay, here it comes. Balloon, come back. Glisker, I'm counting on you. Pikachu. Pikachu lost a battle due to hypnosis, but then brought out Glisker and used Dark Hole to defeat Balloon. Dark Hole is truly invincible. Stone, What's wrong, Ghastly? Xihen sensed Ghastly's abnormality. Stone, you wouldn't be. Xihen looked at Ghastly's bare teeth and claws, thought of something, and smiled. Miss Melissa, could you please have a 1v1 battle with me? This little guy is probably about to evolve. Xihen patted Ghastly, but couldn't reach him. Her hand passed right through his body. Oh? Of course. Then let's use Jengar from the start. Xihen jumped onto the field. Thank you, Miss Melissa. Ghastly, go. Xihen snapped her fingers, and Ghastly landed on the field to face Jengar. Ghastly showed no fear against the evolved form of Jengar. Ghastly, toxic. Ghastly spewed out a large area of poisonous mist, and Jengar couldn't dodge it for a moment. It was hit by Toxic. Toxic is a move whose toxicity increases over time. Even if you can't beat the opponent, as long as you stall for time and don't fight, the opponent will be defeated without a fight. How ruthless. Using a move like Toxic. Jengar, use Shadow Punch. Ghastly, counter with Shadow Punch. Jengar and Ghastly's Shadow Punch clashed. In the end, Ghastly was slightly weaker and was pushed back. However, Jengar showed a painful expression. The Toxic took effect, making Jengar's injury more severe than Ghastly's. Xihen smiled. Ghastly, use Will-O-Wisp. Will-O-Wisp, a move that causes 100% burns. Because of the Toxic, Jengar still couldn't dodge the Will-O-the-Wisp and was burned. Now his situation was not optimistic. Oh dear, I knew I shouldn't have fought you. Melissa was also a little regretful. She didn't expect this kid to be so relentless. Ghastly. Give him another spectral beam. Wow, this fighting style is just like Akiko, one of the Kanto Elite Four, said the boy named Asun who came here with Ash. No more fighting, really, he's no match for me. Melissa recalled the Jengar that was in a confused state, still poisoned and burned, and handed it to the referee to treat Jengar. Hey, hang in there a little longer, this kid hasn't evolved yet. Xihen was about to say that Ghastly hadn't evolved yet when the kid emitted a white light and evolved. Ah! Teacher Xihen, Xiaoguang suddenly called out to Xihen. Xihen followed Xiaoguang's pointing finger and found that the Pokemon egg that had been placed at his feet had also cracked open. Glisker was finally about to emerge. Say, that's Jengar. Gross, that's the newly hatched Gross. My current Pokemon include Gardevoir, just caught, Dusknoir, Haunter, Axew, Sylveon, Ninetales, Suicune, Garchomp, and a Gross egg. I can still carry 3 more Pokemon. Gardevoir, Psychic and Fairy main Pokemon, Dusknoir, Ghost main Pokemon, Haunter, Ghost sub-Pokemon under training, Axew, Dragon sub-Pokemon under training, Sylveon, Grass main Pokemon, Ninetales, Fire main Pokemon under training, Garchomp, always my main Pokemon, and Gross, Poison main Pokemon under training. Tomorrow I'll be posting the story of Dreamweaver and Nightmare, a longer chapter. Please vote. Chapter 44 is finally here, the God of Nightmares and the God of Sweet Dreams, extended chapter. Xihen sat by the window of the airship, holding Glisker. After Ash challenged the City of Fate Gym, they were finally embarking on their journey to Canal City, accompanied by Xiaojun, Shinji's biggest fan. Since Glisker's birth and Jengar's evolution, Xihen had finally had some peace and quiet. However, raising this little Glisker wasn't easy. Just half a day had exhausted Xihen. If it weren't for Brock's accompanying babysitter, Xihen would probably have been completely worn out. After a day's journey in the airship, they finally arrived in Canal City. Xihen was the most excited, because they would encounter Darkrai and Mewtwo here, giving them a chance to meet May. As soon as they got off the airship, they ran into Team Rocket, but Xihen's Dusknoir blasted them away. Ash and his friends had gotten separated from Pikachu because of Team Rocket, but Xihen wasn't going to bother with that now and simply blasted them aside. Then Ash and the others split up and went to Iron Island. Ash was inexplicably labeled a formidable rival by Ash, a rival he could never surpass. Without Team Rocket causing trouble, and without being busy until evening, Ash and Ash were about to challenge the Canal Gym. Having already watched many of Ash's gym battles, Ash would challenge first today, while Ash would have to wait until tomorrow. However, being with Ash was indeed unlucky. The gym leader had gone to Iron Island, so they would have to wait a few days to return. The four of them walking on the street noticed that there were hardly any people around. When they arrived at Officer Jenny's place, she was drowsy. They later learned that Darkrai, the Nightmare King, had come and was causing them nightmares, which was why no one was there. Officer Jenny, on the other hand, had bought a fake Eclipse feather and was furious, wanting to arrest the people selling fake feathers, those Team Rocket guys. Xihen reluctantly went with him to find them. They later learned that the nightmares were caused by the Nightmare Generator, not by the Nightmare God. Of course, these guys were easily defeated by Xihen's Night Demon with a single Hyper Beam, giving them no chance to speak. Miss Officer Jenny, now you can finally get a good night's sleep. Xihen took Officer Jenny's hand and kissed her wrist, as she was wearing gloves. Xihen and Xiaozia had also gotten a meal from Officer Jenny and stayed in the Metropolitan Police Department's break room. That night, during their rest, Xihen looked back, but there was nothing there. Xihen turned again. May, yes, Xihen saw May. May suddenly burst into tears, her face filled with panic. Xihen, save me. May's body suddenly collapsed to the ground, her entire body beginning to rot. May, no. Xihen desperately ran towards May, but he couldn't reach her. Several screams rang out from Ash and his friends, waking Xihen. Xihen opened his eyes, covered in sweat, panting heavily, and jumped out of bed. They're here. Officer Jenny then led Xihen and his group to Full Moon Island, where they found a feather from the Dream Goddess, and then went to Cresselia's shrine. A burst of colorful light shone from the sky, and then Cresselia, the Dream Goddess, appeared before Xihen and his group. Team Rocket was easily blasted away by Xihen, not even getting a chance to participate. Cresselia, Xihen stared intently at the Dream Goddess. You want to see someone? Cresselia's voice echoed in everyone's minds. It was telepathy. Yes, Xihen knew Cresselia was asking him. She's dead. Even if you see her, it's just an illusion. Cresselia's voice resonated in everyone's minds again. Everyone fell silent, staring intently at Xihen's retreating figure. Unbeknownst to him, Xihen had already reached Cresselia, perched on the edge of a cliff, about to fall. I can't help you. Perhaps you can go find Darkrai. Come with me, Cresselia said, flying towards Canal City. Reaching the forest of Canal City, Xihen used Gardevoir's teleport to bring everyone there. Cresselia emitted a blinding light, and Darkrai's figure emerged from the depths of the forest. The two began fighting without a word, but Darkrai was ultimately defeated. After Cresselia said something to Darkrai, Darkrai looked at Xihen. Defeat me, and I'll help you. These simple words reached everyone's ears. Xihen then took out a Garchomp Pokéball. To deal with someone like Darkrai, perhaps only a pseudo-legendary Pokémon like Garchomp could contend with him, and with Cresselia having injured Darkrai, Xihen was now confident he could defeat him. Groundhog, I'm counting on you. Xihen took out Groundhog and said to it, Groundhog. Groundhog responded to Xihen, then its two scarlet eyes, filled with murderous intent, stared at Darkrai and unleashed a glare. Even Darkrai couldn't help but feel fear. Groundhog, use Sandstorm. With Groundhog's fierce killing intent, a powerful sandstorm appeared around it, and Groundhog's Sand Veil ability was activated. Darkrai also unleashed a Dark Pulse, brushing past Groundhog's arm and suffering a minor injury. Groundhog, Rock Slash struck Darkrai. Groundhog, press your advantage. Dragon Swarm, meteor-like rocks fell from the sky and struck Darkrai again, knocking Darkrai to the ground. Without Xihen's command, Groundhog charged forward on its own, intending to deliver a Dragon Claw to Darkrai, but just as the Dragon Claw was about to hit Darkrai, it couldn't move. This is Petrify. Garchomp, break free, Xihen hurriedly said. Garchomp struggled desperately, but couldn't break free. Darkrai didn't let go of Garchomp either, launching another attack that sent Garchomp flying, but still didn't release the Petrify. Darkrai continued its relentless pursuit, its aggressive style reminiscent of Xihen's fighting style. Damn it, looks like I can gamble on this. Garchomp, use outrage. Upon hearing this, Garchomp's already crimson eyes turned even redder, and it went berserk, breaking free of the petrify and unleashing a dragon strike that knocked Darkrai down, followed by a dragon swarm. Darkrai was finally badly injured, but could still stand up. Seeing this, the berserk Garchomp added a powerful hyper beam. Xihen casually tossed out a great ball, hitting Darkrai, then recalled his Garchomp. The great ball shook violently for a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, before finally stopping. Xihen, however, froze, not reaching for the Pokeball. Wow! I didn't expect you to actually catch Darkrai. This means no one in this town will have nightmares anymore. Officer Jenny stared at Xihen, her eyes sparkling. Even if Officer Jenny liked Xihen, she didn't need to be so obvious. Xihen Jack, what are you standing there for? Ash's shout finally snapped Xihen out of his daze, and he ran over to pick up the great ball. Great! This way. I didn't expect you could actually catch him. Dream God looked at Xihen, telepathically speaking to everyone. You do have a special charm. Seeing them looking at her, Dream God spoke to Xihen, and to Xihen's astonishment, Dream God herself went into the Pokeball. Since he stopped giving these people nightmares, I might as well go with you. The Dream God's last words reached Xihen's ears. This, Ash and the others stared at Xihen in disbelief. This was unbelievable. After some more commotion, dawn broke, and Garchomp and Darkrai were healed. In an open area, Xihen released Darkrai. I must say, that Garchomp was really ruthless. Darkrai's face darkened. It didn't want to fight that guy anymore, not even giving it a moment to breathe. Help me. Xihen grabbed Darkrai's arms, looking at it. If you insist, I can't help you. Cresselia should have told you, it's all just an illusion, Darkrai said, and Xihen's consciousness gradually blurred. When it regained consciousness, it was no longer in that open area. A vast expanse of darkness stretched before him. On the small plot of land, only a few houses stood. Xihen scanned each house, his gaze finally settling on one in front of which stood a woman with twin ponytails and a long white t-shirt. The woman waved to him, smiling sweetly, a smile he hadn't seen in a long time. Xihen froze for a full minute, tears welling in his eyes before he rushed to her. May, I've finally seen you, Xihen. May nestled in Xihen's arms. This was merely her soul, a wisp of spirit existing only within the comforting bell. Thankfully, Xihen always carried the bell with him, ensuring May's remnant soul had nowhere to go. They talked for a very long time, perhaps 2 days, perhaps 3. Here, there was only darkness, and no need for food, making it impossible to calculate time. But when Xihen returned to the real world, only a fleeting moment had passed. Xihen had completely changed. He had become cheerful again and promised May that he would find someone else he liked and would no longer think about reviving her. He smiled more often, a captivating smile always playing on his lips. Even though Xihen was a boy, he had become a heartthrob. Only Xihen, Darkrai, and the deceased May knew what they talked about. Everyone else only knew that Xihen had become incredibly confident. He no longer became a screaming, incoherent, or tearful mess whenever May was mentioned. Currently, I have the following Pokémon: Gardevoir, just caught, Dusknoir, Jengar, Aghanim Sceptile, Ninetales, Suicune, Garchomp, and Glisker. I can also carry 3 more Pokémon. I also have a GS Ball, Darkrai, and Moile, Gardevoir, Psychic and Fairy-type main Pokémon, Dusknoir, Ghost-type main Pokémon, Jengar, Ghost-type sub-Pokémon under training, Aghanim Sceptile, Dragon-type sub-Pokémon under training, Aghanim Sceptile, Grass-type main Pokémon, Ninetales, Fire-type main Pokémon under training, Garchomp, Eternal main Pokémon, Glisker, Poison-type main Pokémon under training. I originally planned to write this as a side story, but I thought better of it. Please vote. Chapter 45 Water Vein Gym, finally free from the nemesis Ash. Following the events of Darkrai and Cresselia, the Mori-chan incident, and Dawn's grand contest in Modest Oak, it was finally time to challenge the gym leader. The gym leader was named Dongang, the father of Pidgeot, the gym leader of the Steel Gym. When they arrived, Pidgeot and Dongang were already challenging the gym leader. With a referee's reminder, Pidgeot finally noticed Xihen and the others. Ah, it's you, the terrifying challenger. Hey, don't judge me like that. I'm just more aggressive. Xihen, whose personality had changed, was much better tempered. The old Xihen would have definitely punched him. Dad, he defeated 3 of my Pokémon with just 1 at my gym and got the steel badge. His name is Xihen. Pidgeot had a very strong impression of Xihen and spoke to Donggang as well. Anyway, as a Pokemon gym leader, you should probably have a gym battle with me first. Xihen knew about the situation between Pidgeot and Donggang but didn't care. He just wanted to get the gym badge for the canal gym. He didn't care what happened after that. You're right, then I'll challenge you to a gym battle first. Donggang was a very easygoing person. No way, Dad. I'm not backing down today no matter what. But Pidgeot was still causing trouble. Mr. Pidgeot, just wait a bit, or I'll report the Steel Gym and the Canal Gym, Xihen said, taking the challenger's position, while Donggang remained in the gym leader's position. Now, the battle begins between Xihen, the challenger from Sandstone Town, and Donggang, the gym leader from Canal City. Both will use 3 Pokemon, and only the challenger can change Pokemon. Come on. Go, Bronze Mirror. Use Cannonball. Everyone collapsed. Dad? They haven't even sent out their Pokemon yet. What are you doing? Is that so? Donggang chuckled, scratching his head, seemingly unconcerned. Glisker, go. With Garchomp's intimidation, the baby Glisker had shed some of its childishness and gained a subtle, menacing aura. This showed that if it evolved, it would definitely be a powerful creature. HMPH. I thought you were something special, using a bug type to fight Bronze Mirror Monster. Bronze Mirror Monster, Cannonball. Actually, Xihen hadn't intended to use Glisker to defeat Bronze Mirror Monster. He just wanted to use the gym battle to train the baby Glisker. Glisker, dodge. Use Quick Attack. Glisker's fierce Quick Attack struck Bronze Mirror Monster. Chase after it. Use another Quick Attack. Xihen suddenly realized that besides Quick Attack, a regular bite seemed useless. Want to try again? Bronze Mirror Monster, use Psychic. Upon receiving the command, Bronze Mirror Monster used Psychic to stop Glisker, slamming it to the ground. The little guy was immediately unable to battle. Glisker is unable to battle. The winner is gym leader Donggang. This little guy, come back. Xihen recalled Glisker. 3 in 1 go. Ninetales. Xihen threw out a Pokeball, and Ninetales jumped out. It has to be said that Xihen is quite skilled. He has taken good care of Ninetales these past few days, and it's for his very shiny. If you want to get the gym badge, you'll have to step over my dead body. Copper Mirror, Cannonball. A white beam of light rushed towards Ninetales, which Ninetales lightly leaped to dodge the attack. Kill it. Burnout. The seemingly docile Ninetales suddenly burst out with a powerful aura, scaring Copper Mirror so much that it didn't even move. It was indeed killed in one hit. Copper Mirror is unable to battle. The winner is Ninetales. Haha. It's been a long time since I've had a gym battle. My fighting spirit is burning. Go, Steelix. Gym leader Donggang recalled Copper Mirror and released Steelix, the evolved form of Onix. I'll strike first this time. Ninetales, Flamethrower, Steel Core, use Noise. Donggang tried to block Flamethrower with Noise, but failed. Although it reduced the power of Flamethrower, it still hit. What a beautiful Flamethrower. As expected of Xihen, Ash on the sidelines got excited, as if he were the one taking the challenge. Even the weakened Flamethrower was very effective on Steelix, which couldn't stand up for a moment. To be able to do this against my supposedly proud Steelix. Steelix, get up. Donggang was also surprised. We must press our advantage. Ninetales, Burnout. Ninetales used Burnout again, hitting Steelix directly. Steelix is unable to battle. Ninetales wins. This Ninetales is quite strong. However, it can't beat my Guardian Dragon. Go, Guardian Dragon. Use Metal Blast. Donggang's Guardian Dragon immediately used Metal Blast. Let's see what you do now. I love defense. I love the City Guardian Dragon. This guy claimed to love defense, but he was constantly on the offensive. Ninetales, use Jet Flare to intercept. Ninetales unleashed Jet Flare, colliding with Alloy Burst. The initially confident Xihen discovered that Alloy Burst had knocked aside the Jet Flare and was striking Ninetales directly. Alloy Burst hit. Ag! Ninetales cried out in pain and rolled far away. Not bad, this City Guardian Dragon. Xihen couldn't help but praise it. Now, City Guardian Dragon, unleash Lightning Cannon. Donggang was also a relentless attacker. Ninetales, jump and dodge, use Fireball in midair. Ninetales nimbly dodged the attack and used Fireball in midair, hitting the City Guardian Dragon. Come on, keep going. Smoke Charge. Ninetales used Smoke Charge, hitting the City Guardian Dragon. Ninetales took down the city guardian dragon again, fighting 3 opponents at once. The guardian dragon is unable to battle, Ninetales wins, so the winner is challenger Xihen. Oh dear, I lost to you. Here, this is a badge. Dongang tossed Xihen a badge. Xihen has gotten even stronger. Pidgeot scratched his head, looking at Xihen. It's alright, come back, Ninetales, Xihen recalled Ninetales. Ash, I'll be going now. I'll battle you next time we meet, Xihen waved to Ash. Huh? What? Aren't you coming with us? Yeah, I have some things to do. See you next time. Hikari, you need to practice hard and prepare for the next contest. Xihen left, waving goodbye to Ash and the others. Yes, Teacher Xihen, I understand. Hikari stood up and answered Xihen. Okay. I'll definitely beat you next time, Ash was boasting again. Chapter 46 The Disaster on Steel Island. Xihen wants a grandson. Yesterday, I left Ash's team and started acting alone again. I now have 6 badges, just 2 more to participate in the Lily of the Valley conference. My goals are the Scythe Gym in Scythe City and the Seaside Gym in Seashore City. I can also check out my family's hotel in Seashore City while I'm at it. Thinking back, the old Xihen before I possessed him was such a spendthrift. He sold off all his businesses, leaving only the hotel to support himself. Sigh, he didn't make any money, only a small amount. Although the hotel in Seashore City is quite profitable, it's still a far cry from the former Shen family. Now, Xihen has just left Canal City and is heading to Scythe City. Scythe City has an Ice-type gym, so Ninetales and Infernape will be his main battle force. It's been a long time since I used Infernape in battle. It's still my starter Pokémon, so I can't neglect it. Before leaving Canal City, I sent Lisker and Dusknoir back in exchange for Infernape. The kid was jumping around as soon as he came out. Clearly it had been a long time since he'd seen Xihen and he was itching to get back to him. He'd been battling, but always with a Pokémon from the professor's lab. Either they were too strong to beat, or too weak to be interesting. So he had to train on his own, and with the self-harm methods taught by Garchomp, he'd gotten quite a bit stronger. Alright, now you lead the way. You've been pretty bored these past few days, haven't you? Xihen patted Infernape on the shoulder, and then the two stepped out of Canalica City. Xihen-kun. Xihen-kun, please wait a minute. Oh? Nurse Joy. Xihen turned around and saw Nurse Joy chasing after him. Phew, thank goodness I caught you, Nurse Joy, after catching up to Xihen, bent over, clutching her knees, panting heavily. You caught me. A bead of cold sweat dripped down Xihen's face. I'm really sorry, Nurse Joy, may I ask? Xihen couldn't figure out what could have made Nurse Joy chase him all the way from the Pokémon Center. Oh, well, Professor Yamanashi called and said you should go to Iron Island as soon as possible if you're still there. Iron Island? Ash and the others seem to be there. What's wrong with that unlucky guy again? Xihen thought, resting her chin on her hand. Ash always seems to get into trouble wherever he goes. Okay, I understand, Nurse Joy. Thank you. I'll take you back first. No need. You should go and do your own thing. Nurse Joy declined Xihen's offer. Alright, Nurse Joy, thank you. Infernape, come back. Gardevoir, use teleport to sense the area with the most steel types. Gardevoir called softly, and Xihen and Gardevoir disappeared from their spot. What a convenient ability, Nurse Joy said. It's all bombs. Chimchar, use Dig to escape. Ash told Chimchar to use Dig, but the floor was too hard to use. Gardevoir, teleport up. Xihen's voice pierced through the crowd, and while they were still bewildered, he teleported up, away from the bomb. Xihen. Ash saw Xihen first. Great. We don't have to die. The 3 members of Team Rocket hugged each other exaggeratedly and cried loudly. Teacher Xihen. Mr. Yaxuan. Mr. Yaxuan is still down there. Dawn grabbed Xihen's hand and called out. Yaxuan was the trainer Ash and the others met on Iron Island, who used Lucario and had been training on Iron Island ever since. Oh, is anyone else here? Gardevoir. Before Xihen and Gardevoir could go, a huge fireball shot out from the iron ruins and exploded in the sky. 2 figures appeared in front of them. Mr. Yaxuan, now everything's alright, right? Xihen stood beside them with his arms crossed. You came just in time. Sana Gardevoir rubbed against Xihen's face, seeking praise. Alright, I know it's all you're doing. Xihen stroked Gardevoir's face, and Gardevoir smiled even more happily. Phew, That was close. When did you get Gardevoir? Xihen looked at Gardevoir with envy. This Gardevoir was exceptionally well raised. It was when I fell off the cliff last time. Okay, things are settled, I'll be going now. I don't have time to waste, Xihen said, about to leave with Gardevoir, but at this moment, a helicopter descended from the sky, and Xihen was stunned. Oh my, so you solved the problem here. Professor Iris stepped down from the helicopter. I really like you more and more, kid. Do you have a girlfriend? How about Cyndaquil? I've always wanted a grandson. Professor Iris, it was Ash who solved the problem. I just saved people at the end. Seeing that Professor Iris was trying to set him up with Cyndaquil again, Xihen quickly waved his hand. Cyndaquil was nice, but she wouldn't be interested in him. I'll be going now, see you next time, Xihen said as she and Gardevoir disappeared from the spot. Wow, that kid's Gardevoir is pretty good too, Professor Xihen said, squinting as she watched Xihen disappear. So there really is a steel relic here. Professor Xihen's expression turned serious as she looked at the steel relic in the crater. Meanwhile, Xihen fled back to Canalica City. Thank you, Gardevoir. Come back and rest. Currently, she has the following Pokémon: Gardevoir, Jengar, Axew, Sylveon, Ninetales, Suicune, Infernape, Garchomp, and Glisker. She can also carry 3 more Pokémon. She also has a GS Ball, Darkrai, and Mawile. Gardevoir, Psychic and Fairy-type main Pokémon, Jengar, Ghost-type secondary Pokémon under training, Axew, Dragon-type secondary Pokémon under training, Sylveon, Grass-type main Pokémon, Ninetales, Fire-type main Pokémon under training, Garchomp, Eternal main Pokémon, Glisker, Poison-type main Pokémon under training, Infernape, Fighting-type main Pokémon under training. Chapter 47 Xihen's fans, Xihen and Miss Joey. On his way to Chieftain City, Xihen stopped to rest in a small town, enjoying hot tea and snacks. It's snowing. Snowflakes drifted gently outside the Pokémon Center window. The combination of the snowflakes, hot tea, and pastries easily brought back memories for Xihen. It's snowing, Nurse Joy. Xihen looked at Nurse Joy, who had appeared sometime earlier. Yes, your Pokémon have all recovered. Nurse Joy placed a Pokéball in front of Xihen, who quickly put his Infernape's Pokéball away. Thank you, Nurse Joy. For some reason, the Pokémon Center was a little quiet, with only Xihen and Nurse Joy present. You're welcome. At this time of year, snow can easily turn into a blizzard. You probably can't continue your journey today. I'll help you prepare a room to rest for the night, and you can continue your journey tomorrow, Nurse Joy said with a sweet smile. Yes, thank you, Nurse Joy. Xihen took Nurse Joy's hand and kissed the back of it. Nurse Joy blushed instantly. Yuukin-kun, could you please sign my autograph? Nurse Joy suddenly pulled out a pen and autograph book. Yuukin was stunned. When did he have fans? Actually, I've watched every Pokemon contest. I really love your performances, so I'd like to ask you to sign my autograph. Okay, alright. Yuukin took the pen and paper and signed his name. Signing in Japanese felt really awkward. Thank you, thank you. I believe you'll win the Pokemon Contest Grand Festival, Nurse Joy said, then blushed and ran off to the side. Yuukin shook his head helplessly and continued looking out the window. It had been so long since he'd seen snow. Looking at the snow outside, he thought about the past. It had been over 4 months since he'd arrived in this world, and so much had happened in those 4 months. Professor Yamanashi, Ash, Dawn, Brock, Shinji, and May. Alright, it's all packed up. A group of Nurse Joy ran up to Xihen and said, Thank you, Nurse Joy. Xihen smiled at her. It was only afternoon, lunchtime, and Nurse Joy had gone to cook. Even though Xihen was alone, Nurse Joy seemed incredibly busy. The snow outside was falling heavier, and Xihen felt a bit cold inside. He took out the cape he'd taken off at the Pokemon Center and put it on, which warmed him up a little. Xihen-kun, the food is ready, come and eat. Because there were only 2 of them, Nurse Joy sat down in front of Xihen with the food. I'm so sorry to have troubled you. It's alright, it's my pleasure. Xihen smiled but didn't say anything more. He scooped up a spoonful of soup and put it in his mouth. His cooking skills were truly appalling. Xihen's expression turned strange for a moment, then quickly returned to normal, but Nurse Joy still noticed. I'm sorry, is it not good? Because I was alone the whole time, so. He was just glad he could fill his stomach. No, thank you, To show her sincerity, Xihen picked up the bowl and drank the whole thing. Another bowl, please. Joy stared blankly at Xihen's actions, feeling a surge of warmth and emotion. She quickly ran to the kitchen to get Xihen a bowl of soup. Miss Joy, have you always been here alone? After the meal, Xihen helped Joy clear the dishes, and the two sat facing each other chatting. Yes, because of the blizzard, there's a Pokémon Center here, but also because of the blizzard, there aren't many people here. It must be hard for you to be here alone, since Xihen was bored. She chatted casually with Joy, and they talked for hours, until evening. Joy had probably talked the most since arriving here today. That night, Xihen lay in her room, and soon fell asleep. Since catching Nightmare and Dreamweaver, she hadn't dreamed about them anymore. Speaking of these two, they started fighting the moment they met. Xihen had to stop them several times, and he almost got beaten to death by them before they finally gave up and never fought again. He never imagined being a legendary Pokémon trainer would be so tiring. Actually, both Pokémon are quite reasonable and easy to get along with, it's just that they always fight when they're together, as if they were incompatible. Chapter 48 Leaving the Pokémon Center, the White Metagross. Xihen slept soundly through the night and woke up early. After washing up, he left his room, thinking he was already up quite early, but Nurse Joy was already up and had prepared breakfast. After eating, Xihen said goodbye to Nurse Joy. Xihen-kun, what is it? Nurse Joy, on a mountain a little further on, there's a Metagross with a special color. I think you could definitely catch it. Haha, thank you, Nurse Joy. I'll come back to see you. Xihen laughed heartily and left, saying something that made Nurse Joy blush. Metagross, it should be the white one, right? Xihen left the Pokémon Center, continuing to use Infernape to clear the way, and soon arrived at the place where the supposedly Ursaring Metagross was. Along the way, he heard a lot about Metagross, saying that it was very ferocious and cruel, but Xihen didn't mind. The more ferocious, the better, the more cruel, the better. With Darkrai and Mystic, it really wouldn't be able to subdue it. This slope is really steep. Xihen set off on his way to capture Metagross. If possible, he'd like to train Metagross to be a main Steel-type Pokémon, but in his memory, the white Metagross seemed to be more skilled in psychic abilities. Ah! Help! Xihen heard the cry for help before even reaching the top of the mountain. He saw a person running down the mountain, followed by a white Metagross. Good grief, he had initially thought that Infernape could handle him, but judging from the momentum, Infernape seemed unlikely to be able to defeat him. However, since the guy had run down the mountain on his own, it saved him the trouble of climbing again. Hey! You over there, run! The boy who was running away saw Xihen coming and quickly called for him to run as well. Hey, don't be afraid, Garchomp, stop him! Xihen threw out a Pokeball, and Garchomp jumped out, grabbing the Metagross behind him. At this moment, the boy who was running away also reached Xihen. Thank you, but I advise you to run, this Metagross is too strong, the kid said and ran away. Thanks for your advice, Garchomp. Use Flamethrower on its head. Garchomp opened its mouth and used Flamethrower on Metagross, and the effect was excellent. Metagross retreated rapidly, then used Spiral Ball to spin rapidly and approach Garchomp. Gargoyle used Dragon Strike to counter. Garchomp used Dragon Strike, which collided with Metagross's Spiral Ball. Metagross was knocked away, and Garchomp was also thrown away, but it landed steadily. Gargoyle, don't give it a chance. Hyper Beam. Garchomp fired a powerful Hyper Beam directly at the fallen Metagross. Xihen took the opportunity to throw a Pokeball, which was caught in Metagross, but after shaking for a few moments, it ran out again. This guy's pretty tough. Metagross slowly stood up, then its entire body floated up, and the shattered rocks around it also rose up to attack Garchomp. It was psychic. Gargoyle, the stun is over, right? Dodge. Clatter. Garchomp leaped up to dodge the first attack. Why the first? The rocks hit the ground and bounced back up to attack Garchomp. Metagross is really clever. Dodge again. Unfortunately, Garchomp can fly. If it were any other Pokémon, it would be in serious trouble, badly injured. Garchomp turned to dodge, but instead, it was met with a powerful punch. Metagross, that trickster, psychic was just a feint. Clatter. Garchomp jumped out of the wall. The powerful punch had slammed it into the wall. Gargoyle. Now you have someone to spar with. Clatter. Garchomp nodded in agreement, admitting that this guy was indeed very annoying. Garchomp had used Outrage. Giga Impact to finish him off, When facing an enemy like this, you still have to use outrage. Garchomp entered its frenzy state, unleashing a massive Giga Impact that left Metagross stunned, collapsing to the ground unable to stand. Alright, this time, Xihen continued throwing Pokeballs, which shook violently before finally stopping after a long time. Yes. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 49 Raising Top-Tier Pokémon, Ice-Type Gym. Xihen was in high spirits after catching the white Metagross, but he still needed to hurry to the Pokémon Center to treat both Metagross and Garchomp. He was also worried that the two might start fighting as soon as they met, which would be quite unpleasant. It wasn't far from Celeste City, and they arrived quickly. Upon reaching the Pokémon Center, Xihen discovered that his Pokéballs were full again. It seemed having too many Pokémon wasn't always a good thing. Xihen decided to train a top-tier team and a second-tier team, using 17 different types of Pokémon: normal, fighting, flying, poison, ground, rock, bug, ghost, fire, water, grass, electric, psychic, ice, dark, dragon, and fairy. He planned to train 2 of each type, for a total of 34 Pokémon. Currently, the main fighting type Pokémon being trained is Infernape, the main flying type is Pidgeot with Glisker as a secondary, the main Pokémon. After considering it for a moment, Xihen teleported Snivy, Dusknoir, and Suicune to Professor Yamanashi at the Pokémon Center. She could imagine Professor Yamanashi's excited expression when he saw Suicune. She guessed Ash and the others had already told Professor Yamanashi about catching Wall and Darkrai. Sure enough, just as Xihen thought of this, Professor Yamanashi asked, "Xihen, I heard from Ash and the others that you caught Darkrai and Cresselia. Is that true?" Professor Yamanashi's face almost burst out of the screen. "Yes, but you'd better not bother with them. They fight the moment they see each other, and things have only gotten a little better now. I'll send them back to you when they're harmless." Okay. Professor Yamanashi, hearing what Xihen said, had no choice but to temporarily abandon his idea of messing with the Dreamweaver and Darkrai. "By the way, your Garchomp, ugh. I won't give you the Garchomp. I'm going to keep it with me all the time." Xihen refused Professor Yamanashi again without hesitation. Okay, then your Garchomp." Professor Yamanashi hung up before he could finish speaking. Garchomp. Gardevoir. He still misses my Gardevoir? This is a life-saving Pokémon, of course I should keep it with me all the time. Xihen decided to just send the Pokémon back from now on and not say anything more to Professor Yamanashi. This Professor Yamanashi is so interested in his own Pokémon, he's causing trouble. I heard my Salamence, because of its gentle nature, is being used as a school bus for the kids in Sandstone Town. It'd better bring it back soon. And that Tyranitar, it's clearly a dark-type Pokémon, but its nature is gentle. Those two, as Xihen said this, she completely forgot that she was the one who forcibly changed Salamence's cruel nature to gentle. Did she feel even a little bit ashamed? Or had she already forgotten that she was the one who turned Salamence that way? Now, Xihen had 2 Pokémon slots freed up, preparing to find a suitable electric-type and ice-type main Pokémon. An ice-type main Pokémon should be easy to find near Celestial Peak City. No, not ice-type main Pokémon, but ice-type Pokémon. After all, Xihen doesn't put in the effort to train every Pokémon. For an ice-type main Pokémon, Xihen preferred Weavile. I wonder if I can find Weavile in a place like this. If I can, that would be wonderful. Before that, Xihen is going to challenge the Ice-type gym in Celestial Peak City. This is the first of 5 chapters I promised you. Chapter 50 Gym Challenge, The Disobedient Pokémon? Challenging the Scouter City Gym and obtaining the 7th badge is the most important thing right now. The gym leader of Scouter City is named Xia Song, who specializes in Ice-type Pokémon. She is a teacher at the Scouter City Trainer Training Academy and also Xiaoang's childhood friend. Hello, I'm here to challenge the gym. It was a small house. Upon entering, you could see the battle arena, which was entirely made of ice, with several small icebergs rising and falling, making it look like it would be a tough battle. I know you. Xihen. Just as Xihen was about to walk towards the stands to wait for the gym leader, a girl. She emerged from the other side of the battlefield, wearing a blue dress and with 2 small braids. Oh? How come Gym Leader Xiaosong recognizes me? My Xiao and Wang has lost to you so many times, how could I not recognize you, Xiao and Wang? Xiao Ang, oh, it's her, I'm here to avenge Xiao and Wang. The challenge between Challenger Xihen and Gym Leader Xiao and Wang will now begin. Each side will use 4 Pokemon, and only the Challenger can change Pokemon. Go. Snowcap Monster. Let me avenge Xiao and Wang. Seriously, you're starting without a word. Infernape, the first one is yours. Infernape will attack first, no need to hold back. Flamethrower followed by quick attack. Infernape leaped out and unleashed a powerful burst attack on Snowcap. Snowcap's massive body couldn't dodge it, and the unfortunate creature even got burned. Snowcap, use Ice Blade. Xiaosong's words were barely out of his mouth when Infernape used quick attack to close the distance and launched a fierce melee attack. Why do Pokemon and their trainers work together to unleash their full power? It's not that the Pokemon must completely obey the trainer's commands. A Pokemon guided by its trainer is essentially given 2 brains in battle. One brain can see what it can't and react accordingly, and the other can strategize when to attack and when to defend. Furthermore, a Pokemon attacking unexpectedly without its trainer's guidance can inflict far more than just minor injuries. The trainer is fighting, and the Pokemon is fighting. That's where the greatest power lies. Snowcap was sent flying by Infernape, slamming against the wall and unable to get up. Even if this tough-skinned creature could stand, it probably wouldn't want to. Who wants to get beaten up for no reason? Snowcap is unable to battle. Infernape wins. What? Such a tricky fighting style. Xiaosong clearly hadn't expected Infernape to suddenly attack Snowcap with close-range combat. Why did you bring out that disobedient Pokemon? She obviously thought Infernape was a Pokemon that Xihen couldn't control, but Fire-type Pokemon were the best counter to Ice-types, which was why he called Infernape. Haha, Miss Xiaosong, you're overthinking it. Infernape is very well behaved. As if to confirm Xihen's words, Infernape ran to Xihen's side and affectionately rubbed against him. Only Pokemon and their trainers can unleash their strongest power together. Xihen patted Infernape's head and said to Xiaosong, "Damn it, what are you putting on airs for? Go." Sylvanas, second update of the 5th chapter. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.